It is schedule release week, and we already got a bit of a taste of what the 2025 schedule will look like as we got the opener earlier today. The Eagles will be hosting the Dallas Cowboys Thursday, September 4th. Full schedule is going to release Wednesday night at 8 p.m., and we will also be getting some game announcements throughout the week leading up to that full release, and as more come down, we'll be keeping you posted right here on WGR. And coverage of the NFL schedule release on WGR is presented by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. We also got a bit of an update on the Bengals situation regarding Trey Hendrickson, as he confirmed today on ESPN that there has been no communication between his camp and the organization following the draft as he looks for a long-term deal. Hendrickson also spoke before the draft, talking about the lack of communication between the two parties. 2 games tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hurricanes host the Capitals at 7. Then at 9:30, the Oilers host Las Vegas. Both are Game 4s, with Carolina and Edmonton holding 2-1 series leads. In the NBA, also 2 games, but before that gets started, at 7 o'clock is the NBA Draft Lottery. Utah, Washington, and Charlotte had the 3 best odds, with the winner projected to select Duke's Cooper Flagg with the number 1 overall pick. Following that, at 7:30, Game 4, Knicks Celtics in New York. Then at 10, Warriors host the Timberwolves. The Knicks and Minnesota lead those series 2-1. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I gotta wonder what kind of working relationship you'd have with Satan.
It's Mike Schopp.
I've often wondered that. Like, he, they, I don't know what his pronouns are, or their pronouns. Anyway, Satan.
And the Bulldog.
What's the upside of doing well?
Well, maybe they're too busy making everyone else's life hell.
Oh, boy.
And
wow.
you might just be able to do your own thing if you're partnered with Satan.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
They're too busy, making Scott Norwood miss field goals.
Oh, come on.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Well, I'm not proud, but I did it.
What, did you also click on 2025 on a Bills schedule page that you regularly visit just to see if someone made a mistake? Because I did that an hour ago.
On their website?
No, ESPN.com, just to see if it popped up. I don't know.
No, I did not.
No.
That was my ticket in 2002,
I'm not proud that in the year 2025 I actually tried that.
You'll never find me on the Bills website.
Just does not seem like the sort of thing that would happen now. But,
You just might as well try.
Just never know. Glitch in the Matrix. Who knows? I just thought I'd look.
You'll never find me on the Bills website, but you will find me, again, I'm not proud, but I'm doing it, following NFL Nerd. I'm going to go ahead and give them...
I took that bait today, too.
You did?
Yes.
I'm just going to give in. I want the most sort of like on top of the rumors and the leaks guy. And it might be this account, and it's color coded with logos, and it's pretty. So I decided this is the one for me.
Right.
And it does have things like...
This is the first time I've ever taken a step like this, because I know, I'm in here with you every year for this. I mean, schedule day has become schedule week. So I feel like I don't really need to you're going to present all of this to our audience and me.
Am I?
Usually you do. That's how it usually goes. I just thought, you know what? You never know. Maybe I'll see something that you don't see. I just,
that's what it is.
I want to just try to hold up some end of this.
You want to compete?
Oh, I don't know about competing. I just want to be able to help.
This account. Yeah, right. I might be late coming back from a commercial or something.
Who knows? Right. Anything could happen.
Yes. This account has the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers away both weeks 1 and 3. That's got to be baseball, doesn't it? Are we assuming there that those cities' baseball teams are home those weeks and therefore they would not play at home? Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, weeks 1 or 3.
That would make sense.
Which limits the possibility of division matchups in those 2 weeks because they can't both be home.
Right. But it does avail both the Bengals and the Ravens of coming here in week 1.
That's right. Right.
For a night game, probably.
Yes, so what's the latest with that? Josh Allen was not on the Today Show.
I slept until right at 8 o'clock this morning, and the first thought I had when I woke up was, I hope I see a Bills-Bengals or Bills-Ravens night game, because I had thought that Josh Allen was going to be on the Today Show, and that I'm going to get to unwrap a present this morning when I wake up. And really, like, the third thing I saw on social media was that he wasn't on. It's like,
no.
Come on!
I mean, thank goodness you didn't tell me that you turned on the Today Show.
Jesus, no.
It's already bad enough.
Sorry, that was a little too real.
It's already bad enough that we're kind of hoping to sort of find out backdoor what's going on the Today Show. It's already bad enough.
Right.
He will be on, reportedly, Wednesday. I wish I'd thought the other day when talking to Sal about this. Sal told us a story about how it was out that he was going to be on the Today Show this morning, but then there was some backpedaling, and maybe he wasn't ever going to be, or maybe he was, but they didn't want it out because it would be assumed that it would be a Bills schedule announcement, NBC. I wish I'd thought on Friday in that conversation to say, well, they would do the opener first.
Right.
And they did. I don't know if it was on the Today Show, but I know it was out this morning that the Eagles, that's an NBC game. I want to say, of course, but not everybody would know this stuff like that. Philadelphia, Dallas.
Sure, it can be confusing. I mean, you could think Thursday is prime, which it is.
That's right.
The other 17 weeks of the season. So, you know, whatever. It's good to clarify.
That's right. So I wish I'd thought to say that. Did immediately say, yeah, I'm not listening to, we're backpedaling here. I'm taking it. This is important. Like he's going to, I'm crossing off Bears-Lions for Sunday night and putting on Bills-Baltimore was my thought. Or Cincinnati, I guess. Which is better? Cincinnati worth that game? Could that be?
I think so. Yeah. I could see like them being viewed as last year was just a weird year. And that's it. Like they'll be back. But, you know, Baltimore definitely outranks them right now, and so do the Bills. But I think the Bengals, I would expect the Bengals to be back in that group of teams this year.
It's still, for me, like very small markets for that spot. But it's not going to be Dallas now. And it wasn't probably going to be, I would say. I mean, they weren't good enough last year, but it's often, you know, NFC East. The NFC East gets the Thursday night. Dallas, Philadelphia is the Thursday night. And then, so maybe it will be the Bills on the Sunday night. They say Allen is going to be on NBC on Wednesday, and maybe. I mean, that could be it.
Yeah.
So, fine. What you're wondering right now is, can two reasonably nice young men of fair intelligence fill an entire radio show talking about an NFL schedule today that is yet to be released? And I would say to that, don't ask us. Like, we are older than that. We might not even be that nice, and I don't know about the smarts piece. I'd like to talk. I love the schedule. I'll talk about it 12 months a year. When it's out, when it's not out. In fact, for ADP chasing tomorrow morning, that's a fantasy show, best ball, where everybody wants to know what Week 17 is going to be. Like, that's the money week in the big tournament. So who's playing on Week 17? Because if we have the Bills playing Atlanta, and you have Josh Allen and Kincaid and Elijah Moore on your team, you're going to want the Falcons, too, because you're going to want that game to blow up. So that's why we want to know who's playing in Week 17. I'm coming up with some fake Week 17 slates for the guys tomorrow. Unless you want me to do this for you. I don't see why you'd care what Week 17 looks
I don't
like.
really have any fantasy interest in the schedule.
No, Week 17 is just another week.
It's just, right.
Just another week.
Yeah.
But that's what I'll be doing, you know, in my downtime, quote, downtime. The rest of it is way too intense for me. But the downtime, that's what I'll be doing. Yeah. And Week 17, by the way, is Christmas. And that's what, 3 games? And the latest, listening to Sal talk, the latest lean is that the Bills won't be playing on Christmas. I don't think he knows for sure, but he might. But the sense I'm getting listening to him is that now the Bills are off Christmas, but there's a Saturday night game, the 27th.
Okay.
There might even be a Saturday afternoon game also, that Saturday block that happens every year. The Christmas is the 25th again this year. They haven't changed it.
They've kept that.
Why can't Christmas always be on a Saturday night, right? But no, it's on the 25th again.
You want everything on Saturday nights.
I do.
By everything, I mean Halloween and now, I guess, Christmas.
Or a Monday.
That's everything.
Or a Monday, because that's the best day of the week to have off. That's one reason why Memorial Day is so great. Labor Day, because you can plan for it. It's always on a Monday. If Christmas is on a Thursday or a Wednesday like last year, do you work the next day? The day before and the next day? That's not as good. You want that block. Anyway, so as I speak for everyone, I'm sure on that. So maybe the Bills get the Saturday night.
Which they had 2 years ago.
When was the Miami game? 3?
No, the Chargers was a...
Oh, the Chargers.
That was a Saturday night,
that's
holiday
right.
time, Peacock joint, and that's what this is going to be, right?
Exactly. Yes, this would be Peacock. I guess maybe we want the Bills on that game because then we don't have to get Peacock.
Right, in order to watch. Correct. Yeah.
It'll be on locally.
Yeah. Well, I managed to find my way last season. I think I went out to watch the Peacock exclusive game last year.
And I still have it. I subscribed, and I have not yet unsubscribed. SNL locked me in there. So maybe that happens.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, I don't need the Bills to be on Christmas, but... With no, I don't talk to Mike North, and so I don't have any clues to try to decipher or anything or between the lines to read. But thinking about the Bills and their stature, and that they've been on Thanksgiving in all 3 windows since really their emergence. 2019 was a little ahead of that, but still, Josh Allen became a star before our eyes, and they have played in all 3 windows on Thanksgiving since that happened. And I felt like, maybe Thanksgiving, Christmas. They're having 3 games. The Chiefs were on last year. I'll bet the Bills get Christmas. So I've been sort of mentally preparing for them to be on Christmas. It's not like it takes a lot, and was kind of looking forward to. I've settled on they're going to be there. What window do I want? And now to think that they might not be there at all, I wonder what, if they get some sort of holiday treatment, this thing Saturday night would qualify as some piece of that. I mean, that is a standalone primetime window if you're on Saturday night. But now I wonder about Thanksgiving and or even Black Friday. Right? There's only one game still on Black Friday. Is that right? They haven't found a way to make that into a double or triple header.
I don't really know.
So I wonder if that, maybe they're a candidate for that.
Do I have to know how many games are on Black Friday?
I think it's just the
quote
one.
Black Friday. I don't know. I like this thing though about those AFC North teams being on the road weeks 1 and 3, except for the Browns. I guess their stadium isn't close enough to the Guardians.
It is sort of on the other side of town, whereas the other 3, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, are all very much in the same neighborhood. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. You couldn't. Anyway, all right. How did the league do with Dallas in that opener? I was on Washington. You like the Rams, I think.
I did. I mentioned Dallas when you were running through teams just to sort of remind you, like, hey, Dallas. But I didn't think that they would outrank those other teams. But, they are Dallas. So there's always interest. And even if it's just watching them get clobbered, people will enjoy that. Well, so, I mean, they definitely rate, no matter how good they are. And they're not terrible. They're not terrible. They almost should be maybe Washington is there now. I almost said out of habit they should be the second best team in that division, but Washington has obviously taken that from them. But I still think they'll be competitive. It really hinges on whether Prescott can stay healthy. Because offensively they've got pieces, and provided Parsons and they've got better health. They had a lot of injuries on defense last year. Wasn't the Diggs' brother was hurt. Mm-hmm. So that, I think Dallas should be a playoff type team.
Plus 200 to make it. 7 teams make it. Plus 200 to make it. Go for it. Go get that. I think it's fine. You can get me into Dallas at Philadelphia anytime you want.
Yeah.
All these years, either stadium, the jerseys are usually the same. Mm-hmm. Philly and green, Dallas and white, no matter what. You can get me into that game anytime you want. So Save Washington. I like it when this opening night is not such a banger. Like, Baltimore, Kansas City was this game last year. And, I mean, that was a must-watch. But I'll watch that game in Week 10. Baltimore and Kansas City, put that on anytime. Like, that's a beauty. Dallas and Philadelphia, I don't need Philadelphia playing Washington the first week.
Right.
I mean, isn't Kansas City on their schedule too? Aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, I think even a home game. I think they could have.
It could have been.
They could have done
City.
this if they wanted to have a Super Bowl rematch.
I like this more. We'll save that one. As far as the Bills go, I mean, Sunday night's a great compliment if they get it. You can decide either way whether you think Allen being on the Today Show Wednesday is some sign of that, because that's a guess for me. Maybe it is.
It is a guess. But I would guess the same. I mean, it's possible they just have him on to talk about what his off season, the schedule,
brownies,
his marriage. Like I don't know, but it seems like the kind of thing you would have a guy like that on to say, "Hey, here, Josh, here we found out your first game. Here it is, everybody." But I don't know that has to happen because NBC already did that today with this opener, with this Thursday opener with Dallas and Philly. So I would expect there to be something. I think it would be a little odd if there wasn't some announcement of the schedule. So I'm hopeful for that. We shouldn't be done today.
It could be the Peacock game though.
That's right. Because that is an
one.
NBC platform, and so if that is,
I'm going to go with that.
That could be right.
Because I still don't love the Bills on the Week 1 Sunday night. I still don't love it. I mean, there's lots of good candidates. It doesn't have to be them. Like, they've been great for a long time. They're very marketable.
But the Chiefs are already spoken for, right?
Right.
They've got the Friday night game in Brazil, right? Reportedly with the Chargers.
Yes.
So, if you're looking at the league hierarchy, right? The Cowboys are always popular. They're always they're always eyeballs. But you've got the Super Bowl champs. You've got the runner-up on Friday night. I think the Bills are, there's a group of teams there, but, the Bills, the Ravens, the Bills did make it as far as anyone else besides Washington. So I could see that, but it doesn't have to be. And this Peacock thing is a very, like you just said, you wish you had thought of on Friday when we were talking about the opener. I'm having the same thing about, you brought up Peacock 10 minutes ago, and like, duh, Josh Allen could be on the Today Show on Wednesday because of Peacock.
Yes. And Hallmark, if they're affiliated, or NBC and Hallmark affiliated. This is the stuff you need to know.
That's a question.
There are people, and I respect them madly, who listen to us deep dive on the draft, like every day almost for months, and think like, this is ridiculous. Who are all these guys? What are we doing? Mock drafts? Then we're grading the mock drafts, and then we're like all the drivel there can be when it comes to the draft. But we as an organization have decided to just like embrace it, eat it up,
right? Yeah.
Lean into it. Is the schedule like that but worse? Or is it better, even maybe? Which is like harder to listen to people try to guess at futilely, the draft or the schedule? I don't know. That's a question for you.
They are thematically very close, I think, because you do get, I think, the same sort of pushback, which is, I don't get it. I'm going to find out when it comes up, when it shows up on my phone. And you can say that about the draft, too. I mean, you can just sit back and just not concern yourself at all with whether the Bills are going to pick an edge guy or a D tackle or a receiver or a corner and just wait until, midnight on Thursday and you're going to find out. Same thing with the schedule, obviously, but I've grown to really like putting the puzzle together. And so, if this ain't your thing, I respect you. I appreciate you. If I didn't have this job, it's possible I would be a person who would just be sitting back going, yeah, Wednesday at 8 o'clock, I'm fine.
I think,
but
I think
here.
It's one thing to be, as a fan, like as a hardcore fan, to want things from the schedule. You want this team here. I know the show prior to ours, when I got here, people were calling, like ringing off the hook with like, I want to see Carolina in week 6. Like it was just, there are fans, we somehow do not appeal to those people, but there are fans who like love it like that. They have specific hopes and fears, if you will, from the draft. And you talk about like if you had a different job, like a sort of a real job, that would be me. I might still like the puzzle. I did before I worked here. I was into this stuff forever. But, you didn't have the internet. Kind of made it tough to know what was going to happen. I would be like that, but I would, again, not exactly me, but that person who loves the Bills and wants to know, are they playing on Christmas, et cetera, et cetera. That's one thing. That's great. The same person would not necessarily be trying to figure out, let me see. If Pittsburgh is playing in Ireland in week 4, that means I cannot be playing Pittsburgh in week 4. Therefore, I crossed that off, and that means there's that much better chance I'm playing the Saints. All right, that's the Star Trek convention. Right? I mean, the puzzle, the grid, the nerding site, me.
Very good use of the Star Trek convention.
That's the Star Trek convention. Like, we don't really need to know what the odds are of all these games. Yeah. That's not really that. Maybe that doesn't really have the mass appeal that we would want. Because, again, how it's similar is the mock draft, who the Bills are going to take at 30, and over the course of a month you hear 20 different names. Like, well, how do you even know if the guy's going to be there? Right? And a lot of the guys we talked about a lot, Kenneth Grant went 12th. Right. We might have talked about him more than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And he went 12th. So was that time well spent?
Probably not.
I don't know. Work-wise, I want to say yes. Real life-wise, I don't think that was necessarily time well spent. There is a line for the opener, Cowboys-Eagles, and it's Philadelphia. Want it? Want to guess? This is your specialty.
Philadelphia minus 3.5.
7.
Whoa. That almost sounds like a game they shouldn't have scheduled.
7 is too high?
For the opener.
What was Detroit, Kansas City, though?
8. Good point. Probably that bigger. Wow.
Yeah, that's a point we make about that game. These opening week games is you want it to be competitive. We talked to Sam on Friday, and I asked him, is there a bad team you sort of feel like will be good? He said, does Dallas count? Which, good question. They were 7-10, but they lost Prescott for half the season. Everybody got hurt on, right. Parsons. Everybody got hurt. Yep. So plus 200 to make the playoffs is a pretty good price, I think, for Dallas. 7 and 46.5.
Wow, you usually are very complimentary at my prowess at guessing these.
I was just now.
I'm going to have to get on track because that was a terrible job. I missed by more than half. Exactly half.
I think you should blame yourself on that one. You have a Super Bowl winner, that crushed, like the Bears, 85 Bears-esque kind of romp, same stadium, in the Super Bowl, and how did they do it? Well, they had the best roster, is what everybody said after that. So probably that's a team that most think will dominate again. I mean, some guys won't be back, but their stars are all back. Yeah. And some of them are really young. Hurts is 26.
My first instinct was like 5, and then I thought that's too big, and then I went down to 3.5. And I should have gone up. I went the wrong way.
Play it a little safe for the opener when you don't know who everybody is yet.
Right.
Well, I mean, you should bet that right now then.
I guess so.
Bet Dallas.
Those are the rules.
Hurts is 26. We will talk to Will Graves today. Pittsburgh writer from the AP. He's been on a few times with us. What is going on there? Aaron Rodgers. Why do the Pirates hate their fans more than any other sports team in existence? Is the reason why NFL Nerd has the Steelers on the road in week 1 that the Pirates are home that weekend, and considering what the Pirates draw, should that matter? Right. So we'll talk to Will. We won't have Sal today. We'll spend, much of the day listening for schedule gossip, and
right. Well,
could be a couple more.
Yeah, I started to say a few minutes ago and then got sidetracked. My understanding is Fox and Prime are supposed to have an announcement at some point today. I don't think there were times stamped on those. We knew NBC would be the Today Show, so we knew that would be in the morning. But there should be something that will at least, it's another couple of pieces to the puzzle, probably, at the very least. Could involve the Bills, who knows? Prime might want to, get their hands on them and announce some big thing they've got with the Bills or something, but Prime and Fox are supposed to have some announcement about the schedule today.
What would Fox's be?
I don't know. They don't have a streaming platform of their own. Though that they're putting games on, independent of any other network.
They have Thanksgiving, but we just had Dallas. That would be a Dallas game, probably.
So I don't know. I'm thinking 425, some national window, maybe week 1, 425 doubleheader game or something.
Call it. Think for a minute.
Okay.
Then we'll call it. Oh, you really can't go wrong on this one because you're never expecting to be right. So you might as well just throw out guesses. 803-0550. What do you want for the Bills schedule? What do you want the least? Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Thanks for listening. This is a fun week. This is WGR.
on September 4th in Philadelphia with one of the great rivalries. It's been a quarter century since the Cowboys and the Eagles have played week one. Dallas, new coach in Brian Schottenheimer, Dak Prescott back against Jalen Hurts, 2,000-yard rusher Saquon Barkley, and the Philadelphia Eagles. What a way to start what begins the 20th year of Sunday Night Football.
Mike Tirico making the announcement, and who could forget it? September 3rd, 2000, Philadelphia 41, Dave Campo's Dallas Cowboys 14.
Dave Campo.
Yep.
Wow.
Randall Cunningham throwing a touchdown pass for Dallas.
Come on, that happened?
So it did. With the score, Philadelphia 41, Dallas 6, midway through the fourth quarter.
Like by mistake, or he actually was playing for the Dallas Cowboys?
No, he was on Dallas. Good question. That's fair.
I don't remember this at all.
Troy Aikman was the starter. He went 0 for 5 with a pick and was sacked 4 times. Week 1 at home, 2000.
Yeah, that's tough.
No wonder they waited 25 years to put these teams back on TV in week 1. I mean, I guess he probably got hurt, Aikman. How long did he play? That would have been his last game, but he didn't play. That was his last season.
Yeah, okay.
7 touchdowns, 14 picks.
Oof.
Wonder what Greg Bauk is up to. No, it was Sneaky Joe, not Greg. Sorry, that was Joe who tweaked Troy Aikman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick's stats or something. Yeah.
Has Joe reminded Troy of this game in a while? I'm sure he's done it, but has he done it in a while? So then Cunningham went in and didn't get much better, but he did throw a touchdown pass to Joey Galloway in the late going. Dallas was a 6-point favorite at home.
And got beat by what?
41-14.
Wow,
that is incredible. I don't remember this game at all, by the way. I'm just kind of
there's a lot of things
around.
that are incredible here. That spread being what it was, the outcome, but mostly Randall Cunningham playing for Dallas.
Playing for Dallas
is the thing that is mostly incredible to me.
I wouldn't have remembered that either. Just like name his teams: Eagles, Vikings.
I'm done. I honestly do
There's
not.
probably another one.
Yeah,
other than Dallas.
That's probably right.
Baltimore.
Really?
Randall Cunningham finished his career with the Ravens.
See, I want to say I can see him in purple, but that's because of the Vikings.
Yeah, okay.
That doesn't really. I went, oh, yeah, that sounds. No, it's just purple.
2-0 as a starter for the 2001 Ravens. All right, didn't have that.
2001 Ravens, isn't that? What year is there?
2000.
2000. Okay, so that's the defending Super Bowl champs. He got a couple of wins for them. Okay.
Right. I mean, that was Dilfer and Tony Banks, maybe. And the next year, they were both gone. They knew. They knew. Elvis Gerbach was their main starter.
Okay.
So the year after. How many times does that happen? Team wins it all and then just flushes its offense. Or its quarterback room, at least. But that's what the Ravens did. All right. The schedule, we'll get, maybe a couple more things today. Would love to hear from you on what you want. Yes, there will be so heretofore unsponsored wide receiver content. We will get you that. Don't worry.
What time is that going to be?
When do you want it to be?
Do we know yet? I don't know. I have a thing. It's not so much what I want. I'm fine. If the Bills get Sunday night or even if they don't to open the season and this Josh Allen Today Show appearance is about Peacock or something for Saturday night, the 27th of December, yeah, fine.
Going with that.
The strongest feeling I have about the schedule is that I don't want them to have to go to Europe. I mean, a lot of teams are doing it and will have to do it. I just don't think it's good. It's just not optimal to me to have to do that, the travel, the jet lag, all of it. And I know the league does give you some leeway on if you want your bye right after that or something. And I think the last time the Bills did this, they chose not to do that. And it's not that their season exactly derailed right after they got back from England. They suffered big injuries in that game, which they lost. But, Daquan Jones, Matt Milano were the bigger stories, I think, coming out of that trip there. I just think in a year where I'm going to be, spending the summer here. I'm calling this summer already. I mean, it's Gady out. Thinking about the 1 seed, until we get going and until Kansas City goes undefeated until Thanksgiving or whatever the hell they did last year, I'm going to think about the 1 seed. I don't need a hangover from going to Dublin. So as much fun as it would be to, and believe me, from a work standpoint, I'm fine. We do postgame at noon or whatever. Fine. I got the rest of Sunday. I could get with that. I just don't want them to have to deal with that. This year. Again, recognizing we got the Chiefs are going to Brazil. That's not Europe, but still, big trip out farther. Of the traditional marketplace. I just don't want the Bills to have to deal with that.
What's farther?
Brazil,
Sao Paulo or Dublin, or even London? 6 hours each. Maybe Brazil is shorter, but it's not short. It's not close. Just because it's America.
It's just because it's in this hemisphere.
It's pretty far. I don't know. I always felt like, even though I have no excuse for not having gone, like Ireland, even Iceland. People love to go to Iceland, but Ireland, UK is just sort of like going to California.
I'll bet that is a shorter trip than Brazil. I'll bet it is.
Never mind. According to Nerding on NFL, and I may say that a number of times here in the next 2 days, the London games are official. I'm not sure who, but he's got a format for like which of these are unofficial and which are
speculative. No, unofficial would be speculative.
Sorry. Yeah. There are 3 games in London, and we have it as week 5. This had been rumored the other day. Minnesota at Cleveland. At Cleveland in London. The speculation is that week 4 would be Minnesota at Pittsburgh in Dublin. That Minnesota would play both of those games as the road team. Week 5, Minnesota at Cleveland.
Right. Okay.
Week 6, Denver at the Jets in London. So if that's right, you can cross the Jets off the Bills list. We've known for a long time that the Jets were going to be in London in week 6, but not that the Bills definitely wouldn't play them. And then week 7, we had the other day, Rams at Jacksonville. According to this site, we also have the week 10 Berlin game as Atlanta at Indianapolis. Matt Ryan still on the Colts? No. Otherwise, Matt Ryan revenge game.
Right.
Atlanta at maybe get him in the booth. Atlanta at Indianapolis. Week 11. This has been reported, but maybe also has been made official. Washington at Miami in Spain.
I saw some. I follow Alan Poupart, who's been a guest on our show a couple of times, I think. He's a Dolphins beat guy. And he tweeted earlier today a link to a story. Actually, I think it was his story, just saying that a newspaper in Madrid is saying Washington is that opponent for Miami for that Madrid game. So, I don't know how much you want to believe
100%.
Spanish newspapers. I mean, they're mailing me parking or speeding tickets in Spain from Spain. I don't know if they're credible.
I always believe,
of course,
that
has nothing to do with anything.
Newspaper.
So strike that as a possibility. And I can't remember why, but I feel like back when this was all known, like we've known that Miami was going to play this game for a while, I felt like I heard a reason why it wouldn't be the Bills that was better than just it's a division game. But I can't remember what it was now. And so, but anyway, this would fall in line with that. But, if it's Washington, obviously it's not the Bills. So I have felt for a while like whether I'm right or not, I mean, it's a lot of guesswork. Sorry, NFL, what is it called? NFL Nerd? Schedule Nerd, whatever the name of the Twitter.
NFL Nerd. Nerding on NFL is the account.
I mostly have just been worried about clearing one European hurdle, and that's the Dublin thing. So
you feel like you've done that?
Yeah.
I think all the international games are, I think, known at this point. I have some personal news if this isn't a bad time.
Well, I mean...
The wide receiver thing can wait.
Depends on what it is.
I have some personal news. I've been working here almost 23 years, all but one with you. And this is a first for me. In that time and all time, I broke a tooth yesterday.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I broke it. Personal news, I broke a tooth. I'm not going to, show you.
Did you?
It's right here.
Oh, wow. So how did...
No, it's not. It's not that far back.
Okay.
It looks like maybe it's not that far
you're
back.
Pointing at your
middle.
Your cheek here, so, I mean...
Right there.
Yeah.
I broke this tooth right here.
Is that like the mid-mouth?
Mid-mouth. I would say mid-mouth.
Okay.
The mid-mouth conference.
Mid-mouth.
This tooth is in the mid-mouth conference.
What are the incisors doing in the mid-mouth conference? It doesn't make any sense. They used to be in the front mouth. Oh, sorry. How did you break a tooth?
The big mouth conference. That's where all my teeth are in the big mouth conference.
How did you break a tooth?
No great story.
Did you see Greg Bauk yesterday? Did he break your teeth?
Why would that have? Because he's mad?
He used to always threaten to break our teeth. Yeah.
Yeah. How would you like your teeth for lunch?
Teeth were a threat.
Teeth.
To the point where he would just say teeth.
I was with my sister. She had some little appetizers out, including just, little small pieces of salami. She also had clams off the grill and olives. And I think of those two things as two of the, on a Family Feud board, clams, where you might just get like a little tiny rock in there, or olives with the pit as, likelier ways to break a tooth.
The pit for sure. I've never had a rock or a pebble in a clam myself.
Well, I'm not accusing her of any failure on that front. But it was just a random piece of salami, and it felt like I was like an olive pit or something like that. But, and it's pieces of my tooth, which had a filling from probably when I was a teenager. And so they're all out. I spit it all out. They're on the napkin. There's no pain. I got lucky, I think, maybe there, because that could easily be a nerve and very painful.
How much gin had you had?
No gin, just a piece of salami, and there's my tooth, or half of it.
Is this going to require work? Or
I already have, because I'm a good boy, I already have an appointment for this week. I mean, it's random that it's this week, but I had an appointment to see my dentist already.
All right.
And I texted them today, I'm not in any pain. Can I just keep the appointment? Do you want me to bring in
the remnants of
the rest of the tooth? And my hygienist was like, no, of course not. We're not
going to be able to.
We're not going to reattach it.
We're not going to be reconstructing your tooth. I mean, we might reconstruct your tooth with new materials, but we're not using the old broken, shattered tooth.
We're not going to need the tooth parts.
So did how much of it? How much came, just like a bit, or like did the whole damn thing come flying out? Like what exactly happened? What are we dealing with here?
Half. Wow. Maybe a little less.
Half a tooth.
Maybe. It's very weird.
Yeah.
I was constantly running my tongue over it like, something is stuck there or whatever.
It's got to be a weird, because, we're not we're not in an age where we're losing teeth anymore here. Obviously, it's been a long time. So to have that would be strange. Like, I'm sure it's something, people who have experienced it are maybe used to it, hockey players, whatever, but to me, to have a vacancy in my mouth at this point would be weird.
Hole.
I would be, I think, fiddling. I'd be running my tongue over it constantly.
Yeah, I kind of am.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's just content.
Is it uncomfortable to eat?
This will get us into the top 5 in the ratings.
Is it sensitive to temperature? Like, was coffee any different?
I don't know. Light a match.
Cold?
Bring it over. Give me something hot. No, nothing yet. I had my coffee.
Yeah.
I don't eat ice cream. I don't know. It seems fine.
Okay.
I might not even do anything about it. We'll see what the experts tell me.
Right.
Maybe I'll just live with it.
Oh, they'll definitely suggest you do something.
I get a new tooth.
I would expect. I would expect that. No judgment. It's just that's what I would do if I were in that field. Yeah, you come in with half a tooth missing. Like, I can fix that for you.
You really should get that fixed.
Let me give you an estimate.
You really should. You really should get that replaced.
Let me show you what your options are. You get some titanium or gold or platinum.
I already have a gold tooth.
All right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Why not get 2, you're thinking?
Yeah.
A matching set?
But mid-mouth, I mean, what is that doing?
Mid-mouth conference.
It's not like you're going to have a grill to show off.
Not yet. We have a lot to talk about today. As you can tell, the schedule this week. The PGA is this week. There's hockey. We've got the Bandits in the finals starting on Friday night and more. And that wide receiver segment you're not going to want to miss. Also today, Will Graves from the AP in Pittsburgh. What are the Steelers doing with Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to play or all that drama? And more on that team later today, actually as soon as 4 o'clock. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here at 803-0550. This is WGR.
Folks, Bulldog here for Excelsior Orthopedics. If you're struggling with muscle, bone, or joint pain, now's the time to do something about it. Excelsior Orthopedics can help. Whether you were hurt playing a sport yesterday or have a chronic condition from a lifetime of hard work, the experts at Excelsior deliver world-class orthopedic care that can get you back to doing the things you love to do. Take the first step. Schedule online at excelsiorortho.com or call them up at 250-9999. Excelsior Orthopedics, your first place for complete orthopedic care.
So the hockey playoffs roll on. Toronto shut out by Florida last night. Max Domi, a thing at the end. Also had Vegas scoring an absolutely improbable goal, to maybe put it mildly, with 0.4 seconds left to win Game 3. Game 4 is tonight. The Amherst will face Laval.
Finally.
That's all set now?
Wednesday, Friday, first couple games of that. Right.
So Laval was the better team during the season, and they got to choose when they wanted their home games. It was best of 5. So normally, like, the better team opens at home. But what they chose is to play the last 3 games, if necessary, at home.
So Rochester opens Wednesday, Friday at home, and then they go up there. Okay.
Right. So Laval has home ice, but they start in Rochester, I guess, because just travel-wise, that's maybe more affordable. That's what they picked. I read.
Quite 13 days off they've had. And I saw a stat today. Oh, man. It was something along the lines of, this has happened to X amount of teams over the years. They have had as many as this many days off. And like maybe it was 13 or 14. I've got 13 stuck in my head because that's the number of days off, so it's probably not that number. But however many teams have had this long of a layoff, like 10 of them have gone on to win the Calder Cup.
Really? Yeah. So it's like really like it correlates to winning.
Big benefit to have that time off.
That's good.
I want to make sure.
Well, even if you don't have the number right, you read it and thought, like, that's really a good advantage.
Right.
Because I think there's maybe such a thing as too much time off.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But long season, first round, some teams would have the first and the second round. The Amherst didn't have to play the first series of the playoffs. Okay. Well, Wednesday and Friday this week in Rochester, if you want it. And tonight is what? It's not just Edmonton, but it's also Washington.
Carolina-Washington goes at the early game. They're the early window. Yeah, I'll get that. It's 7 and 9:30, or 7, 10, and 9:50 is what that really turns out to. The 9:30 is just offensive. Like, just stop. Say 10 o'clock. I know. Then I'd miss 10 minutes, so maybe not 10 o'clock, but 9:45.
Say 9:45.
What are we doing here? 9:30. You're just not even close.
Is there a pregame show they want you to watch? No, they want you to watch the first game. Yeah, you're watching the first game.
Both games are on the TNT True TV Max window, so you don't have any crossover.
All right.
So
that's the night.
Yes.
Will Graves on the Steelers and more after sports here on WGR.
It is schedule release week in the NFL, and earlier today we got our first taste of what the 2025 season will look like, as the opener will officially be the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Dallas Cowboys Thursday, September 4th. The full schedule is going to be released Wednesday night at 8 p.m., though we will be getting game announcements throughout the week leading up to that full release, and we'll be keeping you posted when more come down right here on WGR. And coverage of the NFL schedule release on WGR is presented by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. We also had the Browns announce today that linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is being placed on the physically unable to perform list, that ending his 2025 season. 25-year-old is dealing with a neck injury. 2 games tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hurricanes host the Capitals at 7. Then at 9:30, the Oilers host Las Vegas. Both are Game 4s, with Carolina and Edmonton holding the 2-1 series leads. In the NBA, also 2 games, but before that gets started at 7, we do have the NBA Draft Lottery. Utah, Washington, and Charlotte had the 3 best odds, with the winner projected to select Duke Cooper Flagg with the number 1 overall pick. Following that, at 7:30, we'll have Knicks Celtics in New York. Then at 10, it's Warriors hosting the Timberwolves. The Knicks and Minnesota lead those series 2-1. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Mike Schopp.
You might be mocking me or you might be staunchly agreeing with me. I can't tell.
I'm mocking you.
And the Bulldog.
What is Fozzie Bear's role in this production?
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
How does Amazon Prime make its schedule announcement? Do they, send it to you?
Right, yeah.
Is it in my mailbox right now? Who's playing? And
should I be watching their version of the 5 o'clock news
what is
this
that?
Afternoon or something? On Prime?
Is there a box next to my garage right now that has that the Bills and Dolphins are playing on a Thursday night?
I don't know.
Maybe there is. Schedule week. Here's Will Graves with us from the AP in Pittsburgh. Will, you could go either way on this. I don't know you well enough to know if you'll be somebody that just enjoys, eats up how almost literally every week of the calendar there's some NFL, quote, event happening, or maybe it offends you. I don't know. But this week apparently is schedule week.
I'm going to come off as the elitist that I think I am, even though my paycheck tells me I'm not. I think the schedule release thing is literally the dumbest, most it's insanely stupid. You already know who they're going to play. I understand if you want to travel to go watch your team play, and the Steelers are going to play in Ireland this year, right? So I understand that, but I can't be bothered. I can't stand the drawn outedness of it either. I would be fine if Amazon would just drop it in my mailbox, right? Here's the release. But I'm in the minority. I understand a lot of people enjoy it. If that makes me an elitist prick, well, it's not the first time. So.
If you're a Prime member, Bulldog, let me know. And I don't. If you're not, then I won't tell you. It'll be my secret.
I get it. My wife's asleep because she's working tonight at 7 p.m. It's her account. All the Prime stuff funnels through her, so she's probably got the whole schedule in her email.
That's right.
But she's asleep, and I'm not gonna bother her because, believe me, you might sound grouchy about it on the radio right now. Me waking her up at 4 p.m. Hey, you got an Amazon email? That'd be the end.
Do you have Buck Saints? Because I have Buck Saints. Yeah, don't do that, Bulldog. I agree.
No, I'm not going to.
I agree. Well, the Steelers do play in Ireland. We've wondered if the Bills might be that team. The first time I ever heard anybody bring that up, it was maybe the Packers, but this Aaron Rodgers, I don't know, what's the word for it, Will? Drama.
Hostage situation.
Hostage situation.
Okay, that works.
And the Packers executive said that they wouldn't be in this game. It sounds like Minnesota. What has this been like to cover? Has there been really anything to report?
No, everybody on the beat, we've all had the same story basically saved in our computers for 2 months now, I think. Just sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop. It seems To me, okay, so I'm trying to get my actual professional analysis and I'm trying to separate my own personal opinion from that analysis, but it's hard sometimes. I mean, look, it certainly seems that he can show up whenever he wants. He can sign and show up whenever he wants. That's the way the Steelers have made it seem since they found themselves in this situation when they decided to not match the offer that the Jets gave Justin Fields. And, me personally, if Aaron Rodgers does not put you in the conversation with Buffalo and Kansas City and Baltimore and probably Cincinnati and probably the Chargers, Aaron Rodgers puts you in the same situation you've been in for going on 10 years now for the Steelers. You might be good enough to get in the playoffs, then you'll have the lesser quarterback in the game, whatever game you play, and you will lose. That is basically what happens. And so that's my own, personal opinion of it. They've also, Najee Harris moved on. They traded George Pickens last week. They've kind of gotten, rid of the guys that could be considered problematic off the field. I mean, Najee was not a bad guy. He just was different. George was just an immature kid who had been entitled his entire life and never held to account. And the Steelers, did everything they could to try to get him to walk the straight and narrow, and he just refused to. And they weren't going to sign him to an extension. So having him, on the team for in a contract year when he's not the number one guy anymore because they have DK Metcalf, that was just not going to work. So, but the idea that they would let guys like that go and then bring in a guy who is on Pat McAfee asking for apologies about COVID from people, I just don't see how that computes with that club. I just don't. I don't. Do I think it's going to happen? It certainly seems highly likely, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that the Steelers have blundered their way into this situation, and they sort of get what they deserve if they take Aaron Rodgers.
If you feel like now, Will, it is highly likely that he comes to the Steelers, why the 2 months of the saved stories for either outcome in your computer and all the other beat guys? What is the holdup? What is there? There's some game of chicken with the league
Steelers,
or what?
I mean, even the Steelers. So, Omar Khan came in and talked to the beat writers on Friday after the opening of their rookie minicamp, and we asked them on the record about 10 minutes mostly about Pickens, but then vaguely the quarterback room, and then there was some discussion afterward, and technically that was off the record, but I would just say, even in that, all I'll say about that, what we talked about was they basically said this. Omar basically said the same thing he's saying on the record. We have no timetable, everything is on the table, et cetera, et cetera. And the Steelers have repeatedly pointed to what Rodgers said on McAfee a month ago, where he's got some people in his personal life that need his attention, and when he commits to football, he wants to fully commit to football. And I get all of that, right? The guy's going to the Hall of Fame whether he comes to Pittsburgh or not, so it doesn't matter. It's just he's basically, in my opinion, looking to go out on a higher note than he left with on the Jets, and he's never going to find another job that's going to pay him $10 to $15 million to $20 million a year. He's not going to do that, right? So, why wouldn't you go back to work for 4 more months to make $10, $15, $20 million? That being said, I don't know if it's the best first impression for this guy to sort of just take his time, and where everybody else, conceivably will be at minicamp or OTAs when they start on May 27th, right? There's no guarantee that he'll sign before that. There's none. And I just don't know what kind of message it sends if he doesn't sign by then, and maybe he waits until the week of minicamp, which is the second week of June, and, maybe that is sort of but I just don't. I mean, let's remember the Steelers, Roethlisberger retired, Mitch Trubisky signed 5 minutes into the signing period in 2022, and then they drafted Kenny Pickett 2 months later, right? And then they end the Pickett experiment. They get Russell Wilson technically before free agency even opens because the Broncos had cut him, or we're planning to release him or whatever. And now, and it was all about, we got to get these guys in. It's their first year. It's a new system. It's a new teammates, whatever. And then Aaron Rodgers can just show up in June, July.
Yeah.
And it's going to work. I just don't see how that makes a lot of sense if I'm the Steelers. And let's be honest, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, if he still believes he can be a difference maker, I mean, look what happened last year with the Vikings. There might be a situation like this year where a team with a quote good quarterback or somebody they believe in gets hurt, during camp, and they're in a better position to win than the Steelers are, and maybe he's waiting for that. I mean, the guy is an enigma intentionally. It's super annoying. It's pretentious. And, now I'm getting my own personal feelings in here. And I really don't want, that in my life from a weekly,
right.
drama standpoint. I just don't want it. I mean, the Steelers we were talking about this the other day. If he doesn't sign here, it has the potential to be the first drama queen-free season since probably 2013, before Antonio Brown became AB. That was back when he was still Antonio Brown. And I kind of want that for me.
Right. A little normalcy, maybe, yeah.
You deserve it.
Yeah,
so anyway, from a football standpoint, I guess he might be their best option, but he doesn't get them over the hump, so I just don't understand the infatuation.
Yeah, it feels to me like the Steelers, I don't know, like an expansion team, the drought era Bills, right? When the Bills were wandering the desert, pre-Josh Allen, between Jim Kelly and Josh Allen, it was some pretty tough years. And if one of those teams, say, the 2010 Bills, wanted to wait, lead the light on all spring and summer for Aaron Rodgers or someone like him, okay, I get it. You should be desperate. Let's just give him as much runway as he possibly could need. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They should not. I recognize that their quarterback list, at least, really, they don't have a marquee guy there. But still, I don't know. It just feels too desperate for a team with their history.
Beneath them.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, they've trotted out a bunch of random dudes since Ben retired. I mean, they're sort of just flailing about. He would just be the next one, right? He would be the sixth different starting quarterback in 4 seasons. Is that right? I think that's right.
Could be.
And, that's becoming Browns-esque, right? I mean, you're sort of trending in that direction. I think they feel very confident in next year's class, that they'll be draft, QB class, that they will be able to find a way to get one of those guys. I don't know if going 9-8 and drafting 18th is going to get them there, which seems to be possible if Aaron Rodgers comes in and is Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. They have kicked the can down the road. They sort of seem to feel like they operate above the norm. And, when you go 20 years without having a losing season, I mean, certainly that speaks to the quality of, your leadership and, your talent, your personnel side people to find quality players, and your coaching staff to coach coach them up and make them competitive. Certainly. But I mean, look at all the teams that are good now. All of them have had, pockets in the last 20 years where they weren't good, right? All of them. Mm-hmm. And the Steelers seem to think that they can kind of just keep rolling without it. And I just, to me, they would be better suited to roll the dice with who's in their quarterback room. And one of two things happens. Either, Mason Rudolph turns out to be pretty good and, more than adequate, and they can win 10 games, or, it's a mess and they win 5 games, and, then they're drafting, 6. And that is a much more enviable position if you're looking for a quarterback of the future. So, but this has been we are above the law. We're the Steelers. Mm-hmm. To your point, I will say this, there is this sort of same old Steelers. They never change. If you look at right now, we're, getting ready to start OTAs. I saw 10 out of their 22 starting 11 on each side of the ball last year are gone. right? I mean, and part of that was by choice, right? They could have tried to sign Najee Harris to a contract, a new deal. They didn't. They could have tried to match Justin Fields' contract that the Jets gave him. They didn't. So, they are open to trying new things, and maybe this is that, right? Just sort of standing hat in hand, waiting for Aaron Rodgers to grace you with his presence. I mean, to me, they kind of look. I don't think it's going to be a disaster if he signs, but I just think it's sort of, to me, it's just sort of pointless because he's not building for the future. There's not a future with Aaron Rodgers. It's just you're going to tread water for a year, and that might not be the best thing. Maybe you need to sink a little bit and have a lifeguard throw you, a raft in the form of a top 7 pick. Like that, to me, would almost be better than just standing there. Okay, the Sharks haven't eaten you yet, but eventually, if you don't eat, like you're gonna get tired and you're gonna go down anyway. So I'd rather almost do it voluntarily if I was them. Like this is sort of a very challenging time to be a Steeler fan, and it's frustrating to be on the beat. I mean, I asked Mike Tomlin point blank at the end of last season, do you feel that you guys are stuck? And his answer was no, because stuck implies helplessness, and that you don't have a plan. But man, I will say this: it is very hard to kind of discern what exactly the plan is at quarterback specifically as we head into 2025.
Will Graves, our guest. I feel like I'm naive by asking you this, but I never feel like I quite know with the Steelers the breakdown of like who has what percent say in what they do. I mean, Tomlin is such a powerful presence, and he's won. And he also has, never lost in a season that, I kind of might assume that whatever he wants, he gets. Is it that simple?
I think it's pretty close. I think Art Rooney ultimately he does have the final say on some things. For example, I'm pretty Ben Roethlisberger's last season was because of Art Rooney. I think the team would have been fine if Ben had just sort of, after 2020, had decided that was it, right? And Art kind of came in not at the last second, but kind of put his thumb on the scale and was like, "Hey, let's run it back one more time with this guy." So, but I think Mike is a very close to, and look, Omar Khan has been in the organization for 20+ years, but up until 3 years ago, that was not in the assistant GM roles, and the other roles he filled before that are not influential. But it's very clear, that he does not have the rank that Mike Tomlin has. He's now literally, after Greg Popovich retired, he's now the longest tenured coach in North American pro sports, which is kind of remarkable if you think about it. So,
yeah. How this is the entire conversation here is about how long this whole thing has been dragging on for, Will. So I apologize for another question that's in that framework here.
Well, shouldn't this conversation drag on?
Right. We're gonna go long. Will, clear your calendar. It's been going on so long that it already feels like weeks, if not months ago, that veterans like Cam Hayward were publicly sort of, what are we doing? Sort of like I said to you a few minutes ago, like, we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. What are we doing? How's that? Right. How's that facet of this?
Well, I do think, that is something like this is where the Steelers find themselves in a tight spot, and they want to re-sign T.J. Watt. He's entering the final year of his deal. He wants to make more money than the other the Myles Garretts of the world. Aaron Rodgers would show them, signing Aaron Rodgers would give them, in theory, the best chance to be competitive this season, right? And TJ could say, if you guys aren't serious about being competitive, and I'm on sort of the back end of my prime here, you can feel free to send me elsewhere, right? And Cam Hayward had an all-pro year last year, an incredible comeback season at 35. But how much gas, does he have left in the tank? Nobody knows, right? So are you willing to sacrifice a season for guys that are going, TJ's a Hall of Famer, and Cam, if he has one more season like he had last season, I think he's definitely entered into the legitimate conversation, right? So do you want to do right by your veterans? But at the same time, Cam, to his credit, is also tired of sort of the drama around. This is a guy that is among the most level-headed pros that I've been around in any sport, and I cover everything here, and including like Sidney Crosby. I would certainly put in that conversation. Cam is as level-headed as they come, and he's just sort of tired of all the crap that comes, with the drama. I mean, I believe that I don't think the Steelers traded George Pickens because Cam said, get this guy out of here. But I also think Cam did not get on the, Cam did not say to them, hey, why are we trading George? Right. So that's sort of that's the dynamic that's at play there a little bit. Like they want to be competitive. They want to show TJ that they're serious about competing and keeping him. But, are they willing to sacrifice a year, which would be for the greater good of the franchise? Right. That's kind of where the Steelers find themselves. Here on May 12th, they're sort of stuck in nowhere land, to be honest with you, because they're not bad, but they're not good. They're just sort of there. And, it's tough. I mean, they've had a great run of being competitive, but I think, the Turk comes for everybody at some point, and I just think they would be better served to try to just roll the dice without Aaron Rodgers. And I think I do believe some guys on the roster just don't care either way. I firmly believe that. But, Mike T's going to do what he's going to do, and he's a competitive guy. And I can't see him willingly putting himself in a position to make the team less than it could be, right? So I think that's the ultimate deciding factor here is that he's not going to zoom out. He's going to play for 2025, and he's going to try to go, 10-7, 9-8, and sneak into the playoffs and then get rocked in the first round, which has happened with alarming regularity here for going on 10 years.
Will, we're always grateful for your time, and our gift for you this time is that Bulldog and I will track the schedule news, including Indianapolis, Atlanta, meeting in Berlin in Week 10, so you don't have to.
All right, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Will. Will Graves of the AP in Pittsburgh, describing the Steelers like the Penguins are kind of the same thing now.
Yeah.
They have a different history, but
they've been hanging out
up here for so long, and really they haven't sort of given up on it with their legends.
Yeah, Letang, Malkin, Crosby, all still there. Yep.
All right. I mean, I can respect somebody not here for schedule rumors. Really? That's fine. Or even the draft in its way. How the draft can become so, all the minutia of it all for guys that you'll almost never talk about again because they won't even be on the board when the Bills come to pick at pick 30. But I don't know. It's something. That's really what it comes down to.
It's something?
It's something.
Yeah. For me, maybe the most functionality I get out of talking about the draft the way that we do is that 5 years later, when we mention a guy, I might know where he went to college.
From these last 2 months?
Having talked about it. Oh, yeah, that guy, yeah, Iowa State, I remember. Yeah. Great, thanks.
You could just watch college football.
Right. Or I could just not know where a guy went to college and no one on earth would ever care.
Well.
But, I've got this knowledge.
Knowledge is power.
I've got it. I've got this knowledge. I've got this information. It doesn't even really feel like calling it knowledge almost feels like too much. It's information that I have stored in here needlessly that I'm now going to regurgitate and spit out for you.
It feels good to know things.
Congratulations.
All right. There is some wide receiver content today. We'd love to hear what you want or not want from the schedule, as detailed as it might be. 803-0550. We'll keep looking for announcements. There might be a couple today, one from Fox and one from Prime, apparently, were supposed to happen here today on the 12th. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog back after sports. This is WGR.
schedule ahead of the official release on Wednesday, and that is the 2025 season opener. As Philadelphia Eagles will be hosting the Dallas Cowboys that Thursday, September 4th. Again, the full schedule release on Wednesday night at 8 p.m., and coverage of the NFL schedule release on WGR is presented by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. 2 games tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hurricanes host the Capitals at 7. Then at 9:30, the Oilers host Las Vegas. Both are Game 4s, with Carolina and Edmonton holding 2-1 series leads. In the NBA, also 2 games before they get started at 7, the NBA Draft Lottery. Utah, Washington, and Charlotte have the 3 best odds to land the number 1 overall pick, with all expectations with that pick being to select Duke's Cooper Flagg. Following that, at 7:30, Game 4 of Knicks Celtics in New York. Then at 10, it's the Warriors hosting the Timberwolves. The Knicks and Minnesota lead those series 2-1. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
I don't think it's going to be a disaster if he signs, but I just think, to me, it's just sort of pointless because he's not building for the future. You're going to tread water for a year, and that might not be the best thing. Maybe you need to think a little bit and have a lifeguard throw you a raft in the form of a top 7 pick.
Our guest just before, Will Graves from the AP in Pittsburgh. Not that this is lost on him. I'm sure it isn't. It's always important. It's necessary to factor in who is making the decision and what are their incentives. And I think, references to the Bills' drought, none of those coaches really had the time. They decided, I think, probably correctly, that they didn't have the time to invest in whoever the 11th overall pick at quarterback might have been. And Donahoe, this goes back 20-plus years now with Lossman, he kind of did. I mean, he moved in as the president of football operations or whatever his exact title was, and he would have thought, I'll be here for this. I don't know if Greg Williams will be here for this, but I'll be here for this. And that's something, you have the Giants example where people wonder if the GM will even be there. I don't know from the Steelers. I mean, the coach has been there for so long. But I think a lot of times it just comes down to that, where it's not a high pick, it's a mid pick. I can do this, but what are my odds? And then the team opts out. I mean, the Steelers could have done what? Jackson Dart? They could have done that. Maybe the Steelers are a team that could get away with it because of Tomlin and his longevity. But, the Giants kind of beat them. Well, the Steelers could have picked them. The Giants got them after that.
The Giants came in, yeah, right. I mean, and where the Giants moved into, it wasn't even the end of the first round. It was only a couple of picks after the Steelers pick. So, maybe we all would have gone, I can't believe they picked Jackson Dart at 21 or whatever. But I don't know. After last year when Michael Penix surprisingly got picked at 8th, there probably would have been even less of that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's funny, you mentioned Donahoe there. He orchestrated the Bledsoe trade, but then had, look, not a lot went real well while he was the team president and in charge here, including insulting the fan base pretty grievously near the end of his run here. But pivoting from Bledsoe to Lossman, the draft pick made it, functionally realistic that was what he was going to do, but he didn't wait around. They paid a price to get Bledsoe, and I think he recognized, I've got a deteriorating player here. His history after he left here tells you all you need to know about that. And I'm not going to keep hoping that this is going to work. And, they were coming off of, right? Bledsoe left here after 2004. They just missed. So they were kind of Steelers-y, not for a long time, but they were on the fringe of that sort of contention, wild card playoff contention. And he went, yeah, no. And I respect that he did that in the end. But yeah, the Steelers just can't get there, I guess. What is the best case scenario? They get Rodgers, and like Will is saying, they win their 10 games and get in, and what? They're hoping to have a game where TJ Watt has 2 strip sacks, and they win, even though they're outgunned. That could happen. But
anything can work.
Right. But, man, I just think that's, after all this time, it's got to be getting pretty tough to just keep going to that well.
One might be listening to this, hearing the 04 Bills example, like, well, the Steelers get into the playoffs as the 7 seed. If there were 7 seeds back then, the Bills would have made it, but they would not. As close as they were in 2004, their loss to the Steelers, that last game, landed them 9th in the AFC. So even then, they were never top 7 in all those years. They were never top 7, let alone top 6. 803-0550 is the number. Checking back in on NFL Nerd. No change.
Where are Fox and Prime?
Where are Fox and Prime? Prime, I assume, is in a box by my garage.
What are you doing? Yeah, right, or in my wife's email. Where are you, Prime?
One
Fox?
of you is a Prime member that knows what that game is going to be.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Get us some new. What are we doing? It's 4:38 on the Monday of schedule week. Yeah, I'm making this into like it's a thing everyone knows about. Like it's schedule week. Come on.
Schedule week. Schedule week. Opening week is bad enough now. In baseball, do they have opening week?
Right.
Schedule week. I can I love it, but I can relate to Will.
Go along with
no
kickoff weekend.
Kickoff weekend. Well, what is the prime? Whenever it happens, what is the prime announcement going to be? Week 2, Thursday night, and is that what they did last year? Did we know Bills Miami in advance? Week 2. I feel like yes.
I think the answer to that is yes. I think what they did is they told us what their first game was going to be. I don't know. Yeah, and was last year their second year doing it? So I don't remember.
Wasn't their first.
I don't remember what year 1 was. But that would make sense. I mean, unless they've got, do they have?
I think Chargers Chiefs was their first ever game.
Okay. Do they not have Black Friday? That is them, right? That's Prime. Right, Netflix is Christmas. I think Black Friday is Prime.
Okay.
So, maybe that's what.
That's the announcement?
Maybe. If I'm right about that, I think I'm right about that. Now I don't know. Now I'm shaky about it.
Might be.
I'm trying to remember if we were in here together for the first one. The Jets. It was a Jets game.
Jets Miami.
Yeah, and we watched it, but if it was on Prime, I don't think we had that. I don't even know. Anyway, I think that is their game. So maybe that's what we get, if we get anything.
I think that game was on in this studio.
Yeah.
And we were working because it was a Friday.
Right. That's what I remember, too. So I don't know how we did that unless we had Prime, which I guess is possible. But
Joe's mom.
The Fire Stick.
I think probably it was Joe's mom's account.
We probably had that, yeah. Yeah.
When did the Bills last lose a game on a Thursday?
That's a good question, because I just saw, I think it was Warren Sharp. That's what you're referencing. They're 6-0, their last 6 Thursday games.
He did the whole league since 2020. The Bills' undefeated stretch on Thursdays goes back before that. The Dallas Thanksgiving game was 2019. They've won their last 7 Thursday games. Their last loss being that Jet night game.
Oh, the colorblind game?
I think it was the colorblind game. Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing for the Jets. We had Tyrod.
Okay. That's quite.
I was at Kohl's.
That's a while ago. Yeah.
That's the last time we lost on a Thursday. I was at Kohl's.
You were at Kohl's?
Might be the last time I was there. I don't know. It hasn't been that often since then. But Thursdays have been their day. And this year, that's Christmas. Thursday. And Thanksgiving. Well, of course. The latest speculation seems to be that the Bills will not play on Christmas. I kind of thought it started to sound like a given that they would.
Me too.
3 games.
Yep.
And the Hallmark
movie thing, right.
Maybe that Hallmark movie takes a dark turn. And it isn't the kind of movie where you'd want to be, associated with the team. Like you want to keep it separate. Maybe there's, something bad happening. Maybe it's the first ever Hallmark horror movie.
Oh no.
They're trying to change their image a little bit. What do you think? Maybe?
I mean, anything is possible. But I can't. No, I can't. Sorry, I'm busy Googling. I meant to do this during a break, but now I'm using your time. I want to find out who owns the Hallmark Channel.
Oh yeah.
I meant to look that
Who
up.
owns the Hallmark Channel?
Who are they affiliated with? I mean,
this is important.
My Google search. Hallmark Channel is an American cable television network owned by Hallmark Media, a subsidiary of Hallmark Cards. Thanks.
They're their own man.
Yeah,
Hallmark is its own man.
They don't. They aren't. I would have assumed that they were, had an affiliation with someone. Bigger than that. I mean, not that I don't,
Big Card?
I want to be talking Hallmark down, but yeah, bigger than Big Card. Yeah, that's right.
Hallmark's like, we're Hallmark. We don't need you. Investors swoop in to try to take over the Hallmark line. Hallmark says no. We want to be ourselves.
Yeah. Owner Hallmark Cards. Parent Hallmark Media. Mm-hmm. Sister channels. Hallmark Family, Hallmark Mystery,
Hallmark Plus,
Hallmark Dynasty Fantasy. Wait, I wrote that wrong.
Hallmark Horror. No.
Hallmark Death and Dying. No. Yeah. No. I should have stopped. Anyway. Yeah. I just assumed they were under a wing of like one of the bigger companies.
Stephen King's Hallmark. They would never. What about that Shawshank cartoon? Isn't that Hallmark, that series that's out on the behind the scenes at the Shawshank prison?
Do you know that the family that...
Yeah, I do not. I already know I don't know this.
The Hall, their last name is Hall.
Is it?
Yes.
The founders of Hallmark are named Hall?
Yes. The Hall family.
Is it Mark Hall?
Who are the owners of Hallmark? The Hall family.
Is there a Mark Hall?
I don't have...
There should be.
No.
That is a great name.
I've got a CEO here, Mike Perry.
No.
Anyway, the Halls.
All right. Well, that doesn't help us.
No,
none of this helps us.
I was looking for information about them being affiliated with, Fox or NBC or, whatever, Netflix or something, but no.
And there's no game on Hallmark.
No, just this Bills movie. Yeah.
Just a Bills movie.
Yeah.
Wow, how surreal that would have seemed however many years ago.
That the Bills would be featured in a Hallmark Christmas movie?
There'd be a Bills Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. A lot of this stuff.
Like, did the Bills make it, and then Hallmark went into financial ruin, and the Bills offered their movie about, the years in the rock pile, and Hallmark is airing it? Okay, sure. But not an original product.
Right. There's a lot we're just kind of taking for granted here. Like the Bills quarterback's going to be on the Today Show today. There must be an announcement. Oh, no, it's actually going to be Wednesday. The Bills quarterback is on the Today Show.
Yeah.
And everybody knows who he is.
You don't have to explain it.
We are living in very different times here, folks.
My friend Greg says the quote colorblind game was the year before, and then in 17 they played again and lost to the Jets. The Bills won there on a Thursday night. Because Rex Ryan was the coach. He was getting revenge on them. In 17 it would have been McDermott. Anyway,
right.
The 17 game is their last Thursday loss. Okay. None of these Chief playoff games was on a Thursday? So I don't have to look that up.
Haven't had that happen.
Well, you're busy looking up the Hallmark Channel.
I'm done now. I've closed that window.
Schedule week.
It's over.
Listen to it. Listen to schedule week.
I'm Googling Hallmark Channel.
Moments in schedule week.
The desperation
include Bulldog
here.
Googling Hallmark to try to find if there's a clue. And heretofore, there is not. Does that sound right? Is that good English? Mike Schopp and the Bulldog at 803-0550. This is WGR. Former Bill Gabe Davis is reportedly meeting with the 49ers.
To tell us which game Prime is going to announce today.
Does Jacksonville play San Francisco?
Sorry, I jumped ahead of that.
The Bills do not?
I jumped ahead of that a little bit.
The Bills do not play Jacksonville or San Francisco in the regular season this year. Niners, are they going to be back? Niners back or no? With or without Gabe? McCaffrey, they're saying, is fine.
No more
Ayuk
Debo.
is not fine.
Ayuk is not fine.
Kittle is paid. Debo's in Washington.
I don't know. I don't know.
They're old.
Yeah.
I like Pearsall, kind of.
Uh-huh.
Although Juwan Jennings may outrank him. I think their three receiver set is eventually Ayuk, Jennings, Pearsall. And they drafted Jordan James from Oregon, I believe.
Seahawks have got Darnold now.
Yes.
Right?
Rank the NFC West?
Yeah.
No, this is no Davis.
Right. This is without the meter moving of Gabe Davis joining San Francisco or any of those teams, for that matter.
Rams won?
Yes. I think Rams won. I don't know. I don't know. The other three are all kind of to some degree of the same to me.
Rams, Niners, Cardinals, Seahawks for me. I think we might be looking at Sam Darnold behind a bad line.
Which is death.
If that is the case. Arizona, I can't imagine being any different ever with Murray. I think it's the same sort of Murray is limited, but he's good enough to beat the bad teams, and they end up 8-9 or something like that. That's, to me, Arizona. Harrison is interesting in fantasy. What do you do? What do you do with last year? He was supposed to be this, and he came in only here. Neighbors was better. Brian Thomas, they're both much better than Harrison. And he still has Murray. I don't know if the coordinator's different. At least with the same quarterback, I felt like Harrison was just, there weren't very many good games.
I mean, I know there's no sure things. It's pro football, but I feel like the Rams are the only thing that could be the only playoff team out of that division. I don't know that I trust anything else there.
And if they're really good, they could win 5 or 6 of those games and have a great record.
And just run roughshod. Kind of do what the Bills have done to the AFC East last year. I don't think I need to go that. That's too far. Even if they're down, if they're healthier, the Niners should be like a wild card type team. But I just don't know. They've lost a lot of guys. They've lost a lot. I don't know how much you want to trust McCaffrey coming back. No more Debo. I don't know, man.
Rams to make the playoffs -180. MGM. San Francisco also -180.
Okay.
Seattle +170. Arizona +150. It's pretty close. Nobody's 200 either way, so it is pretty close. It's a good one to try to rank. Not a given right there. It is schedule week, Bulldog. I don't have to tell you.
I'm Googling Hallmark Channel.
You actually were. Coverage of the NFL schedule release on WGR is presented by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet.
I want to squeeze this in because a few people on X, there, I said it, have mentioned that there is some sort of an affiliation with Peacock and therefore NBC with Hallmark Channel. I think they stream their stuff through Peacock or something. So there's your Saturday night, the 27th, Peacock game, Hallmark Channel synergy.
Josh Allen goes on the Today Show day after tomorrow.
Right.
And they announce Peacock, the Bills, 27th of December, and the movie, and he makes brownies.
Great. I didn't know about the brownies.
I don't know. Doesn't every celebrity on the Today Show cook something? It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah,
I feel like somebody's baking.
I can't say I don't know.
There's always a kitchen segment, isn't there?
I feel like the only thing I ever see highlights of the Today Show are people making faces in the camera in Times Square. That's it. That's the extent of my Today Show experience for the last 20 years.
Sure. It probably wouldn't be Josh Allen cooking, but he would be there to eat whatever the celebrity, whatever Carla Hall is whipping up.
Decide whether
Allen will be there to eat it.
You want nuts in the brownies? No, Josh Allen doesn't want nuts in the brownies. Okay, no nuts.
I've never had mayonnaise on a turkey before, but I'll give it a shot. There's Carla Hall's in there making.
Week, everybody.
She's in there making her lemon bars, and Alan is on the set, with the hosts, and they're all just enjoying lemon bars together. That's, I think, what we're going to get. 803-0550 for your schedule thoughts. We'll talk a little bit about the actual Bills team as well next hour. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
NFL schedule release will be this Wednesday at 8 p.m., but ahead of that, we are getting a few announcements here and there throughout the week as we head towards that Wednesday night. Today, just one announcement. It is, though, the opener for this season. The Philadelphia Eagles will be hosting the Dallas Cowboys Thursday, September 4th. There were some rumblings. We could be potentially getting at least 2 more announcements today. We'll keep an eye on that for you right here on WGR. And coverage of the NFL schedule release on WGR is presented by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. We also had the Browns announce today that linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is being placed on physically unable to perform list, thus ending his 2025 season. 25-year-old is dealing with a neck injury. 2 games tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Hurricanes host the Capitals at 7. Then at 9:30, the Oilers host Las Vegas. Both Game 4s with Carolina and Edmonton holding 2-1 series leads. In the NBA, also 2 games, but before they get started at 7 o'clock, we have the NBA Draft Lottery. Utah, Washington, and Charlotte all have the 3 best odds, with the winner projected to select Duke's Cooper Flagg with the number 1 overall pick. Following that, at 7:30, we have Knicks-Celtics in New York. Then at 10, it's the Warriors hosting the Timberwolves, with the Knicks and Minnesota leading those series 2-1. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
All right, what's the report from outside?
I was outside for maybe 3 minutes. I counted 8 Q-tips. It's got to be one person that just throws their Q-tips out the window when they're done using them in their cars.
It's Mike Schopp.
One person?
More than one person using Q-tips and throwing them outside?
I don't think I use 8 Q-tips in a year.
I think I've never used 8 Q-tips.
And the Bulldog.
What the hell is going on out there? I don't think I want to work in a place where people roll their windows down if they're using Q-tips for Lord knows what and just throw them on the ground.
Well, you do.
What, is it the 70s?
Oh, that's not very nice.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Driving on the highway 65 miles an hour. I get a little left in my soda from the fast food drive out the window. That was the 70s. Who gives an F about anything?
Throw a burrito out the window.
Nothing matters. 2025, what are you doing?
On WGR.
Throwing Q-tips out of your car.
Sports Radio 550.
I don't think it's throwing in this case. It's just dropping. These cars are parked back where we work and tend to park. I don't think there's any throwing happening. It's not like they're on the highway, although that person might be guilty of that too. Who knows? Who can explain any of this? But there are just there's a small pile of Q-tips in the parking lot together.
I like that they're throwing them. If
they're throwing them, they're spiking them.
If you're sitting in your car and disposing of them through the window, you've thrown them out the window. Whether you're moving or not. Moving is not imperative to throwing. From a vehicle.
Moving is not. Hang on, let me write this down. Moving is not imperative to throwing.
That's what my grandpa always told me.
This is the Ulysses Grant quote. You just sort of drop it. You almost set it on the ground. Moving is not imperative. Who's a famous general who would not move his army? He would just sort of sit there and squat, hoping not to get attacked. I don't know that answer. I do know that progrid.org is up on my screen with the schedule.
Oh, baby.
And there's no change again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's no change again.
You got us all excited there. Well, you got me excited. I can't speak for everyone. I don't know what people are thinking out there.
We were led to believe there would be 3 reveals today. It's after 5. People are driving home, flinging those Q-tips out the window on the roads, and yet we only have 1, and it came early this morning. Dallas at Philadelphia opening night, which I think is fine. I think there are a couple of better games, but I always say about the Week 1 primetime games, you don't need to be too good. I didn't need the Chiefs there. They're on Philadelphia's schedule, I think. Washington was my favorite idea. Dallas is not the toughest game of the bunch, but it's still good. And Kansas City is indeed on. That's the Giants. No, it's Philadelphia at Kansas City this year.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Could have been the Lions were the one team we talked about, and the Bears even for a minute. Mm-hmm. But Dallas is fine for that. We think we know Friday night, Week 1. There's a Friday night game in Brazil, which should be Chiefs-Chargers.
Right.
So the report on that is, because on Twitter I saw a couple of Chargers fans presumably complaining that they didn't protect the Chiefs game, that would be a game where you'd want to be on home field.
Uh-huh.
Not that they've tended to win those games anyway, but, obviously you'd want that, I guess. But that the Chargers, and I suppose this is how it works for all teams, you can protect 2 games. And the Chargers did not pick that game. So therefore it was vulnerable to have this happen, that it was put in Brazil. And it was reported, I think maybe Pro Football Talk, that the Chargers' choices were non-divisional games. They protected 2 other games on their schedule. This would be interesting to know.
Yeah.
I think who each team picks. So
I wonder.
The Chargers have Pittsburgh at home. And maybe Pittsburgh will fill their stadium for them.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, is maybe you pass on the Chiefs game because you're sick of the building being taken over by Chiefs fans anyways. But then if you're going to say the same thing about Pittsburgh and it's all about filling the building, then that's a different criteria. But if you're a Chargers fan sick of seeing 30,000 Chiefs fans descend on your stadium every year, because that's the rep. The Rams get the same thing. I mean, the Bills fans took it over for opening day. Took it over is a little strong, but still. It's a very casual sports market for as big a market as LA obviously is. And so you can get there if you want to go there. So I might think the motivation for the Chargers, my first guess would be they're tired of just having the Chiefs pack their building, and I don't care if we go play them somewhere else, because it's no big deal to us to not have to play a quasi road game in our own stadium against them every year anyways. Maybe we can actually beat them if we play them in a neutral site.
Well, I wonder if this logic is close enough. I wonder if, because it's Kansas City, they'll draw. And maybe they sell out all their games anyway, but it's sort of the makeup of the crowd that LA will go see Mahomes. But if it's Pittsburgh, it's like less cool, and Pittsburgh will just invade. Maybe they're more a team that invades. If the report is accurate, the Chargers protecting 2 of their home games, and none was a division game, which led to the Chiefs game going to Brazil. This is like akin to your Hallmark research here, where you're trying to... Right. They also play Houston, Indianapolis, Minnesota, and Washington. I don't know. Is any of that cool enough to do this? But also Philadelphia. So I would guess that the 2 games they would protect would be the Eagles and the Steelers.
Yeah.
Wait, let me make sure my logic is clear here. I'm saying they want the Steeler fans.
Right. And I'm not sure that there's a problem drawing fans as much as there's a problem with the building being overtaken.
Okay.
So we're on different trains of thought there.
Okay.
I don't know which one, neither could be right. Both probably aren't right, possibly being right. I do like, as much as I'm dealing in what I consider to be the reality that the building's going to get overtaken. I would understand a Chiefs fan a Chargers fan being annoyed that you're not protecting division games. Like we're trying to win this thing here. Are we just giving up? Like the Chiefs are too good. We can't catch you. Like what's going on? But the reality is, I think that the building you get run over anyway, no matter what you do.
We do have the Fox announcement now.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Week 16, Saturday doubleheader, Green Bay, Chicago, Philadelphia, Washington. They do the annoying thing here that everybody is doing now, and I don't understand it. Maybe it's because so many games are in places like Brazil and Madrid. They used versus and not at. Can you assume where these games are being played from this?
Yeah, these are division games. No.
Versus doesn't mean necessarily anything.
Yeah, unless there's a traditional placement, left or right of the verses, which signifies home. But I've never studied it. So I don't know how that lines up.
Just show me like a release or something to go with the tweet.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Only team here on the Bills schedule of the 4 is the Eagles. So it will not be the Eagles here on week 16.
Right, the Saturday before Christmas is where this falls on the calendar. Saturday, December 20th. Okay.
All right, now the Adam Schefter tweet has ats. But it has them in the other order. Philadelphia at Washington, Green Bay at Chicago, in some order on December 20th.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if there are additional Saturday games on the 27th.
In addition to the Peacock thing.
Good job by NFL Nerd having these Saturday games up already on his grid.
That was really fast, yeah. Well, I say that not knowing the timing of this, but it feels like it was within the last few minutes. So.
I think we're doing what he's doing, only we're talking to.
Right.
Just kind of sitting there in keyboard position here for anything, scrolling on the phone. Bam, there it is, Fox. Da, 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 da. We're kind of doing the same thing, only also talking.
Live on the air at the same time, yeah.
Philadelphia at Washington, week 16. I wonder if either of those will also play in week 18.
Right.
That's happened.
Mm-hmm.
I hope not.
No, I don't think that's fair to anyone, really, when you play two division games within like a 3-week or even 4-week. Like, you just, front half, back half, as best you can, recognizing that there's going to be challenges, but you just should not be playing. And we've seen it, numerous times. This happened with the Bills and the Patriots pretty recently, where you play two times in 3 weeks or 2 times in 4, and it's just not the way it ought to be. So I hope that doesn't happen here. All right, there's
who
the
do you
Fox.
like in these games? Philadelphia at Washington. That could be big. Both of them could be big.
Yeah, I mean that's an NFC title game rematch, right?
So Fox gets to pick, the networks get to pick their reveal, and that's what Fox went with. Week 16, Saturday doubleheader.
That is a pretty big deal that they get to own that day like that.
That's new, right?
Yeah, because usually if you have games like 2 or 3 games on the odd Saturday late in the season, everybody gets a turn. There's a CBS game, there's a Fox game, and if there's a night game, maybe it's NBC or some now streaming carrier or whatever. But it's usually 3 carriers. So to have them now not knowing doubleheader Fox that date, we don't have times yet on any of this. I wonder if there's a third game somewhere else that day too, because you have room for 3 games, obviously, with a 1 and a 4 and an 8 window.
Yep. Such is life in schedule world, where you get one, in this case 2 together.
Yeah.
And you go, all right, yeah, cool. I'm done. Now what? What's next?
Prime, where are you?
Where's week 7?
Come on.
Just dump week 7 on our laps.
Come on, Prime. Let's get it together, Prime. Fox has done what they've done. NBC did their thing earlier today. We're waiting on you, Prime.
If I were Prime, I'd want to make sure nobody considered me late.
Right.
I'd want to be right out there.
That's big. Their whole business is predicated on being fast.
Is there something on Prime like tonight that's important? Is there a debate or a baseball game or something that you'd want to watch? They have some baseball, right?
Sure.
They do. So does Apple.
Yeah.
I've watched a couple games on Apple.
I know Apple has it. The picture is unbelievable on Apple. The baseball games I've turned on Apple, it's almost too good.
I think Prime has baseball.
This looks fake. Prime has had hockey on Monday nights in Canada all season long, regular season, not. I don't know. I was about to say I don't think I've ever gone in there for anything other than the football games, but that's not exactly true. I regrettably watched an NHL behind-the-scenes thing about the Leafs or something that was narrated by Will Arnett. It was fine. It's just Will Arnett just kept talking about the Leafs as we, and it made me crazy. And I hold that against him now to an unhealthy extent. Like he's the first person that's ever done that. But it was annoying. Shut up. But that was already like 3 or 4 years ago. I do not think, I'm looking for a new show to watch while I'm exercising on the bike downstairs. Let me see what Prime's got.
They're good, though.
I just don't ever go there.
The Lightfoot movie was on Prime.
Yeah.
I think so.
I'm sure they have some good programming. I just never think to go looking for it.
There are enough choices. You have too many choices.
Mostly because that's right. But a few when I was around this time with that Leafs documentary, which was largely really good, except the Will Arnett part. I did try a couple of other things like music documentaries, and they were like just the kind of music documentaries that get made that like nobody that really knows anything about the artist is going to get. Nobody wants to sign off on it, so it's like a roadie from some other band that knows a guy talking about like, what am I doing here? This is like 10th rate. And that sort of turned me off of Prime permanently, other than for football. So I'm judging harshly their programming content without much knowledge.
Clearly,
yeah,
you're even admitting.
Yeah, I am. I'm telling you, you chase me away with your garbage music documentaries.
So Bills wise, if we're again, it's all just guessing, but if the guessing is correct, that Alan will be on the Today Show to talk about the Peacock game, which is the Saturday night after Christmas. Hallmark movie, Peacock, the affiliation that you dug up earlier, NBC. This is a game you need to get Peacock for. It'll be a good game, and maybe a home game to have him on.
Yeah.
And, mention the movie if they do that.
Yeah.
Then we're looking at...
But you won't have to get Peacock. Whether the game's here or there, you don't have... We wouldn't. Yeah, people not in the market. The game will be televised locally on a over-the-air channel.
Yeah, right. But everybody else. The Today Show will be on...
Right, that's right.
So what game is that going to be? Week 17, Bills at home, Bengals or Ravens?
It's too late for the Chiefs.
It is too late for the Chiefs.
I don't think I'd... And I want to almost say the same thing about the Bengals or the Ravens.
Well, the Bengals, the Hamlin game was that week.
That's correct. Yep.
Was it the same level of magnitude then? Because the playoff game hadn't happened yet. The Hamlin game hadn't happened yet. I'm not sure it was really like apples to apples.
Yeah.
And, that's even... The Bengals themselves are debatable as to like what kind of interest people will have in them. You and I are kind of... They're in the corner of our eye all the time.
Yes.
Cincinnati.
Yes. I think, despite their deficiencies on defense, they're going to be right back to being... Like, I think that division will be a slugfest between they and Baltimore.
So, you know what else this could be? The stadium finale. They could also include that.
Ooh.
Week 17.
Go on the road in Week 18.
Yep. Island game, Saturday night, chance of snow, good opponent.
Hallmark movie.
Hallmark movie, possible regular season finale. Those are my chips. I don't think it's week 1. I think it's this. All of it. And they'll go on the road in 18, I'll say. To add to the spectacle of the previous game. We looked up when the Patriots closed their stadium. They did not play at home in the finale.
Right.
They had a playoff game, the Tuck Rule game, and ended up being that's a famous way out. But that's, I think how this works is the it's just so much now. The networks buying these, cross promotional appearances. Allen's on to mention what game they're going to have on at some point. There's so much that they're putting into that having all those pieces fit in here, that works for me. That sounds like appropriate that they would promote all of that at once, announce all of that at once. So who would it never be? That could be a divisional game then. That could be like Miami.
First thing I thought of was New England just now.
They're so boring, though.
I know, but hey, I'm also, I want to be careful about introducing new layers to already what is a multi-layer guesswork fest here, and this whole thing, this whole operation is just so flimsy.
It
but
is.
Final game at the stadium. Look, I know you don't get to play the Washington Generals in the NFL, but like I'm scheduling the final regular season game ever. I don't want it to be a team that could kick my ass. Like I want it to,
well, come on.
I know how that sounds.
What's their record?
I know they're so good. They should, whatever. San Francisco's coming. Bills killed them. Dallas 2 years ago killed them. So I want to run away from that, but I had the thought. So whatever. I'm speculation city.
Well, they'd want it to be competitive.
Yeah. I guess I don't want the final game at the stadium to necessarily be competitive. I'd rather it be a team like the Jets.
You'd rather it be the week after and Allen just takes the first snap and leaves?
Yeah.
I don't think that's better.
I guess.
I like it in prime time. I like it for all the reasons that make sense to me.
Yeah.
I like it. So I don't think it would be...
I just don't want them to lose the final game at the stadium.
Me neither.
So.
I don't think it would be the Jets or the Patriots. I don't think it would ever be the Saints or the Buccaneers. I think that it could be any of the big ones. Although Philadelphia is now, that's the Saturday. It's the week before. No real history with the Eagles. I wouldn't rule out the Chiefs, but Bengals and Ravens...
It feels so late to play
Baltimore.
The Chiefs. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, if it's the last game of the stadium, it is. That's pretty good if it's Baltimore-Buffalo that night.
The Eagles being in that spot the week before, competitively, they could look at that as fair, right? Although the Bills probably won't be coming off short rest or long, normal rest if they're playing Sunday into Saturday. But, the Eagles, that's a way to, keep them on a regular schedule, I guess. But, yeah, I don't know. Those two games almost sound too good for Saturday Night Peacock to me.
Adjust your priors.
Yeah.
I feel like the Peacock game is going to be a good game. 803-0550 if you want to guess along with us. We're admitting that's what it is, but I don't know. I think it's fun. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, back after sports on WGR.
It is schedule release week for the NFL. We've already had 3 games announced ahead of the full schedule release on Wednesday night. Eagles hosting the Dallas Cowboys Thursday, September 4th to open up the 2025 season. And then just about a half hour ago, we had the Week 16 Saturday doubleheader announced. Eagles at Commanders and Packers at Bears. We are expecting an announcement from Amazon Prime on one of their games, but so far nothing yet. Coverage of the NFL schedule release on WGR is presented by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. 2 games tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hurricanes host the Capitals at 7. Then at 9:30, the Oilers host Las Vegas. Both Game 4s with Carolina and Edmonton holding 2-1 series leads. We also have 2 games in the NBA today. But before that gets going at 7, we will have the NBA Draft Lottery with Utah, Washington, and Charlotte all having the 3 best odds, with the winner projected to select Duke's Cooper Flagg with the number 1 overall pick. Following that, then at 7:30, will be Knicks-Celtics in New York. Then at 10, it's the Warriors hosting the Timberwolves, with the Knicks and Minnesota leading those series 2-1. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
NFL players do not voluntarily give up $30 million, which means that the Saints made it clear to Carr and his representation, if you just have the surgery and go on IR, we're going to file a grievance because you didn't tell us in March that your shoulder was bothering you when we redid the contract. Because of that, I'm not 100% convinced that Derek Carr never plays football again. This might be a financial short-term marriage. If there was ever a year for the Saints to hit the reset button, this would now be that year.
Ross Tucker, you'll recognize his voice probably. We haven't gotten to the Derek Carr announcement yet. This may not be fair. Actually, that might not be fair. I don't know. Like, right. One would bristle at any sort of allegations like that, and Carr at one point seemed to have heard enough of it, and he went to a church in Las Vegas and kind of was talking like the Saints were the devil. But anyway, here was his statement on Saturday. I think of him as somebody that gets into it with fans online. He's done that a couple times.
Yeah, I think he runs hot. Yeah.
He runs hot. And maybe he sort of grew out of that. We don't all. I don't know. But the statement from him, I'm retiring, we've been blessed, difficult to find the right words to express our thanks to all the teammates, coaches, management, ownership, team officials, and especially the fans who made this journey so special. Paragraph, and the statement closes with, your unwavering support has meant the world to us. I just have a tough time thinking that Derek Carr, his attitude about fans is unwavering support. He seems like somebody that takes it pretty personally, and it read to me like he was being sarcastic. Wow. Your unwavering support.
That is
unwavering support.
Tough. Yeah, that is tough.
Unwavering support.
Oh, wow.
Derek Carr. Yeah. No, he's kind of he's made a lot of money. His stats actually in a couple areas make him look a lot better than I think his reputation. Low sack rate, low interception rate. Like he's kind of all-time great in a couple areas. Never won a playoff game, but somebody like Cousins, who's in the bucket of just like how much money they've made, how long they've lasted without that much team success, which makes them kind of, I don't mean this like in a really bad way, but it makes them kind of like a joke where people talk about them, pejoratively. And if Cousins said, he seems maybe like he's a little bit more easygoing, but I don't know if that's true. I mean, I don't know these people. If he said something like that on his way out the door, I might sooner believe it. But Carr for me is somebody that, like, I think he will, how Kevin Durant is?
Yeah.
Just like he will mix it up with people online that don't say nice things about him.
I feel like when you're retiring, sure. Did he earn a reputation? Is it well earned? Sure. But there also would have been lots of people, maybe even more people than these critics that he's gotten into it with, who have offered him unwavering support. And when you're done playing, that's a chance for you to at least acknowledge that. Right? You've bought my jersey. You've had my back going all the way back to Fresno, whatever. So I don't know. I didn't find it odd at all.
Okay.
It's kind of the typical sort of exaggeration emotionally that gets made when someone is walking away from, something that people and the person himself has cared so deeply about. So I don't know. I didn't find it.
Quarterbacks like that just simply do not receive unwavering support. They are mocked.
Right. Yeah.
They are criticized constantly. Mm-hmm. And if it's legit and you're able to sort of have that perspective on the fans in your career, credit to you.
More power to you.
Because there's no way he's somebody that you would think of as having received unwavering support.
Yeah, I don't think he's had an easy ride.
His support has, to say the very least, been absolutely wavering. I mean, it's definitely wavered. He's had some highs, but also some lows.
Right. I'm just one football fan in Buffalo, New York. I've never for 1 second taken him seriously as a threat. Like as a big time player. He played a long time. He had plenty of good games, and like you said, has made a ton of money. But I never thought like he's any level of good that I have to care about. Where's he going? I don't care.
That's obviously definitely not unwavering support.
Right? Like where are you going? You're on that team now? Okay, great. They're
that's
mediocre.
Nothing close to resembling unwavering support.
But I'm just me. I'm just saying there are probably people who adore him and think he's the best thing ever.
No chance.
No chance.
Nobody adores him. What does that even mean?
Come on.
Nobody. Maybe family. Maybe family.
No.
Black Friday, 3:00. Chicago at Philadelphia. More NFC.
Is this from NFL Nerd? Where's this from?
Yes, but it's probably from somewhere else first.
Sure. Well, I would imagine so. Yeah, okay.
Yes, it is from NFL Nerd.
Is that
going to be Netflix? That's Netflix. Or is that Prime?
I think Prime was Black Friday, yeah.
So this is going to be their...
Netflix is Christmas Day only. I think that's the only place Netflix is.
And it's all 3 games?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yes.
So this is our Prime reveal then?
Maybe, I would imagine that it would be more formal if they were slated to actually announce it. Or maybe it's been announced and NFL Nerd knows it and we just haven't seen it yet.
Maybe.
Because it's Prime and it's in my wife's email box.
He posts it as confirmed.
Okay.
Chicago at Philadelphia. So that's another week where the Bills will not play the Eagles. We won't get to the point here.
And another prime spot, holiday prime spot where they will not be.
Black Friday.
Right.
Yeah, that's the better point.
Probably increases the likelihood of this thing for Peacock on the 27th.
Are you ruling Christmas out? I'm sorry, are you ruling Thanksgiving out?
I have been in favor of Christmas, but now that Christmas is ruled out, I think I might need to rethink Thanksgiving.
It could only be the night game.
Right, because they don't play the Lions or at the Cowboys.
Right.
So you can't do that. You could host a night game on Thanksgiving. We haven't done that. That would be different. I mean, they've played in all 3 windows, but they've been the road team in all 3 windows. Even New Orleans, which is not one of the traditional homes of Thanksgiving football. So, I mean, there's an opportunity there.
It would have to be the night game.
Yeah.
I think we've already talked about it a lot. The Peacock game just makes too much sense. And I don't know. Who knows what they'll do. But did Mike Tirico make today's announcement on the Today Show?
Yes.
So you're going to have Alan on, and there'll be probably a cooking segment, and there'll be, other things. But to have it be the Week 1 game is a little bit too close to what you did today.
Yeah, I agree. So, I think the affiliation that has been uncovered by our audience, thank you, audience, with Hallmark Channel streaming their stuff on Peacock, that just points to that big time to me. Mm-hmm. So at this point, again, all of it's guesswork. I would want to say, despite that, I'll be surprised if I get up tomorrow and Alan's, I'm going to get up really early.
Wednesday.
I'm golfing. Wednesday. Thank you. All right. Whatever. I get up on Wednesday and this announcement has been made and it's not that Peacock Saturday, the 27th game. Like, I'm anticipating that to be the content that we get from Alan on the Today Show.
You know what's tricky? So Wednesday is like a holiday for me with the schedule. Just like all the different leaks, and you have a couple, there's a New York Post guy in the morning that has the Jets schedule usually, and there'll be a couple other ones, and you try to figure it all out. That's also the day before the PGA. And I'm picking the 10 golfers for the PGA.
Oh, dear. You've got to, you better.
So what are we doing at 6 on Wednesday? Is that Brian calls in and we talk about golf for 20 minutes and I give you my 10 names while, Atlanta is not here. We're here in week 7.
Right.
Can we juggle all that? I don't know if I would try.
I think we can. We can always, I did for the Masters. Maybe you weren't here.
I wasn't here.
And something, I don't remember what, maybe it was a Sabres, whatever it was, I did the picks thing with Brian in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
We just did not, it was like a 45 segment. We just did not have time. Yeah, I think it was a Sabres home game or a Sabres game, whatever, pregame at 6. And so we just stuck it in and just blew through it really fast. So, we can find a way.
I might want to prepare this time for the golf.
Well, you should do that ahead of time because the schedule is going to consume you. And what will happen to you on Wednesday is it'll be time, and you will have not thought about it at all because you're busy with the NFL Nerd and your own grid.
That's right. I will need to do it in advance.
So tonight you should go home and look at the odds and at least give yourself 12, 15 guys that you like. And then
that's right. Short list.
Like 3 of the top, whatever. Just yeah.
Read about the course.
Get a plan.
Where are the bunkers?
Longest course on the PGA Tour, I read. One of the longest, if not the longest course on the PGA
Quail
circuit.
Hollow?
Yeah. Right.
Charlotte?
Yeah, North Carolina. Yeah.
It'll be nice and cool there, I bet.
Yeah.
Nobody will be sweating this week at the PGA. I mean, it is only May. That was me today. Out. It's 82 right now.
It felt good.
With a broken tooth, I'm out there.
I did my second outdoor bike ride of the year, and one of the things I love going outside on a bicycle instead of being in the basement, but in the basement, I'm going to sweat like crazy. And when you're riding outside and it's not that hot out, you don't get a sweat going at all because you're moving through the air at 15 to 20 miles an hour the whole time, and it's just I don't feel the same. I like the sweat. The sweat tells me I'm working. Anyway, I had a nice bike ride, and I sweated. It was hot enough to sweat, which is ideal for me.
And me and my mower, definitely a sweatable chore.
Just riding around on a lawnmower?
Yep. I'm going to say it is, yep. What I have to get in the habit of, I think,
is bringing a beer with you?
My son went and fetched me one yesterday. We had a little game worked out.
All right.
So that was cool. No, what I'm going to have to get in the habit of doing is driving around with the gas can.
Oh, dear.
Right?
Well,
no.
No.
Is that a special trip?
Well, yeah, you just have to have... Yeah, I would not ride around with a gas can.
Doesn't seem ideal.
No.
But, like yesterday I ran out of gas. I had more. But when that happens next time, I'm not going to want to just get in my car and go get gas.
Oh, you mean ride around... Not on the mower. You mean like... I'm sorry, what are you saying here?
I think I want to have the gas can in my car.
Okay. So you can...
So that when I need, so I don't have to make a special trip out.
Right, sure. Okay.
But is that unsafe? If it's not empty, is that unsafe? You got to get it home.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't understand why you need to have it in the car. Can't you just go fill it up, 5 gallons, you're good for a while, and then when you notice it's getting low, go fill it up again?
Yeah.
That's not that cumbersome.
I think maybe
you can manage.
I think maybe my yard takes up most of the tank.
All right.
I don't know, though. I haven't enough experience.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't want to have to stop cutting the grass and then go to the gas station.
You definitely don't want that.
That's all I'm saying.
No, what you need to do is get a big... Do you have a big 5-gallon?
Yes.
Okay. Get another one. So you always have 2. One of them's full.
Oh, that's good.
That's when I was in my riding mower prime at the cottage up in Ridgeway. that we had 2 tanks or 2 of those gas cans, and so I always had gas.
One is always full.
Yeah,
that is good. All right, schedule week, everybody. I mean, what drama. Coverage of the NFL schedule release on WGR is presented by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. The whole thing comes out Wednesday night. We're getting little pieces.
Well, what good is that?
What's tomorrow? CBS? I know. What fun is that? CBS is tomorrow, wouldn't it be? Is maybe Monday Night Football?
I don't have my list open.
We'll get it.
I had it earlier. But yeah, we can find that. But there is stuff tomorrow. I just don't know who, so I don't want to say.
All right. And Alan on the Today Show is Wednesday. That might be Bill's Christmas weekend. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Lines open for you, 803-0550. This is WGR. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in See if Sal, possible wrench in the Peacock plan.
Uh-oh. Oh, man. I just said I'd be very surprised if that's not the announcement on Wednesday.
Yep. Possible wrench.
Okay, what's the wrench?
This is another one where, I got the same email and just didn't
read the whole
care
thing.
about it
Right.
same.
Yeah. I glanced at it for clues.
This has happened before. As it's known, or to be known, the Peacock Holiday Exclusive will be selected from a pool of key NFL Week 17 Saturday matchups. This is Week 17. There also will be a Sunday night game, naturally, on NBC that weekend, so the 28th. And I think maybe they could do that here and pump up Peacock and the Hallmark and still get the Bills at home on a prime slot, and then maybe list the Saturday game. He's the MVP. List the Saturday games as well, and then promote Buffalo, Cincinnati, or whoever it is
on Sunday night.
On the Sunday night. I think that could probably work. But maybe they don't announce the game for Peacock tomorrow, or prior to well into the season. Those Saturday games, the season goes long before they line them up.
Okay, so they may want to wait to pick what will be the best looking game for that platform.
That's what they've done with the Saturday games. It's well into the season before they slot them.
That's right, irrespective of Peacock, though.
Yes.
Right? 2 years ago, we knew right away Bills, Chargers, Peacock. That was not a game that was picked out.
Okay.
We knew right away that, because I remember talking about, Peacock, here comes Peacock. Everybody's going to have to get Peacock. And that came when the schedule came out.
Okay, so you could read this the way maybe Sal has, and we're talking now, or the other way, which they'll have Saturday games announced, and then this one will be picked and announced Wednesday.
Right. That's how I remember it 2 years ago,
okay.
that we did get that Charger game announced at the outset of the schedule. Unlike, say, sorry if this is too many years ago, but the game the Bills played in New England in 2019, which was a 4:30 window, and that game came when the schedule was announced, when the Bills sent out the email with the schedule that had a Saturday and a date, but not a time. It was going to be determined what window it was going to be, but we knew it was going to be on Saturday. I think, or maybe even it was all TBD, and they were going to decide which games were going to be on Saturday at a later date. The Peacock thing was different last year, 2 years ago, than that. So I don't know if which way they'll do it now, but I know that's. At least feel very confident that that's what they did with the Charger game 2 years ago.
Could they put Kansas City Buffalo on Peacock on a Saturday night?
Sure.
Week 17? Does it make sense?
It just seems so late for the Bills and Chiefs to play to me. They're going to play again in a month.
Yeah, right. It's too close to the second meeting.
It's not. I don't know.
That's a good way to quash that idea.
I don't know if I really like that.
I like that. I agree. I don't want it that late either.
Yeah.
I said, we talked about this a while ago, and I said you could end up ruining it by putting it so late if things are decided or one team is down. Mm-hmm. If you put Buffalo, Kansas City in week 6, or what have they done recently? More like week 13 or 14, and you got away with it, then that's a marquee game. But if you put any game that you think is a great matchup so late on the schedule, you could waste it. Just one team doesn't need it, one team's bad somehow, and you just sort of waste one of the best games of the year.
Right. The ideal thing would be for it to be for the 1 seed, or at least to take control of the 1 seed with 1 week to go. That would be great. But,
that's a lot to bet on.
That's a lot to bet on. That's right. By the way, real quick, I checked the NFL release with all these dates and who's going to be announcing what when. The only thing on the docket for tomorrow is Good Morning America, and that's ESPN. So it's going to be a Monday Night Football game or games tomorrow morning on Good Morning America on ABC. That's it for tomorrow.
And that's on in the morning?
Right. Good Morning America, yes.
Still on in the morning?
So
morning
we've got
show?
the Prime thing, we got the Fox thing, obviously we got the NBC thing much earlier today on the Today Show. So tomorrow morning, Good Morning America, ESPN. And, so that could be the Bills, week 1, Monday Night Football or something. Who knows? And then Wednesday we get CBS. On CBS mornings, they'll do something before the schedule is officially announced in the evening, and then Netflix is also supposed to be on Wednesday at some point.
They could do a doubleheader. Buck and Aikman have made that announcement themselves in the past, and it's been 2 games. At least once it was 2 games, including Tennessee Bills the one year. All right, well, more excitement. Schedule week. Lines are open for your calls at 803-0550. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
5 NFL games have been announced today ahead of the full schedule release on Wednesday night. We started today with the year opener, as the Eagles will host the Dallas Cowboys Thursday, September 4th. We also have the Week 16 Saturday doubleheader, Eagles at Commanders, and then Packers at Bears. And while it has not officially been announced, it does appear we have the Week 13 Black Friday game, another Eagles game, this time hosting the Chicago Bears. And coverage of the NFL schedule release on WGR is presented by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. The Browns did announce today that linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is being placed on the physically unable to perform list. It'll end his 2025 season. 25-year-old is dealing with a neck injury he suffered in the middle portion of last year. 2 games tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Hurricanes host the Capitals at 7. Then at 9:30, the Oilers host Las Vegas. Both are Game 4s, with Carolina and Edmonton holding the 2-1 series leads. While in the NBA, also 2 games, but before that gets going, at 7 o'clock, the NBA Draft Lottery. Utah, Washington, and Charlotte are the 3 best odds to land the number 1 overall pick, which is expected to be Duke's Cooper Flagg. Then following the lottery at 7:30, Knicks, Celtics in New York. Then 10, it'll be Warriors hosting the Timberwolves. The Knicks and Minnesota lead those Game 4 series 2-1. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I don't love Junior Mints. I just don't hate them. I don't understand why they are treated like second-class candy.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Oh,
there's a
understand why a candy that is basically toothpaste wrapped up in stale chocolate is treated like a second-class candy. All right, I get it. It's a good, valid question.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Is there time to change? The 3 teams I've drafted this year, second-class candy is pretty good.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Testimonials pouring in.
What's that now?
Says Mike, I can't get enough of schedule week. All caps, by the way, so you know he respects it. Takes me back to middle school.
Says Mike, that's you.
No, this is Mike Jones.
Okay, different Mike.
Different Mike. Takes me back to middle school math puzzles. Logic problems, I think they were called. Quote, Judy in the red hat had the hamburger. Sally in the blue hat had spaghetti. Who had tacos and was wearing the green hat? Thank you so much. You're welcome, Mike. Nice to hear from you. I loved those. I still can find my way to one of those logic. You ever do those? There'd be like a whole book of them you could buy.
Yeah, no.
Not easy sometimes, those.
No.
They give you like 5 facts, and you have to figure out the whole puzzle from the 5 facts. Bam. Good stuff.
Yeah, no, I don't... I don't feel like I have really done enough to exercise my brain over the years. I'm very intellectually lazy. I'm too busy trying to remember like the lineage of bass players in certain bands. Like that's what my brain power is taken up doing. I think.
All well and good.
No, completely and utterly functionally useless. But whatever. It's there. I want to correct a goof on my part. You've said a few times, is Netflix carrying all 3? Prime has got the night game on Christmas. So Netflix has got the afternoon games and Prime. So there are 3 games on Christmas Day. 2 will be on Netflix and an evening game will be on Prime. So we will not find out all of the Christmas Day schedule necessarily when Netflix makes their announcement Wednesday in advance of the evening reveal of the whole thing. But anyway, just wanted to get that out there.
Who has the NLL finals? Prime, Netflix, Hallmark.
I'm not sure.
Who has it?
I'm not sure where you're going to find that.
Game 1 is the Bandits at home against Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan beat Halifax in 2 to advance to the finals. I think it's Friday, Sunday, back here on Friday for the elimination game.
Friday,
game
if
3,
they need it. Yeah,
if they need it. I watched a lot of lacrosse this weekend, not just in person, not just high school, but college. The NCAA tournament started. Some great games. Notre Dame was incredible over Ohio State. Georgetown took out Duke, didn't see it. Richmond beat Carolina. That was really good from down 4-0. Syracuse needs overtime to beat Harvard. That was exciting.
I saw some chatter about that on the social networks yesterday, that Syracuse had
good stuff.
Done something good.
Cornell is the number 1 team. So there's eight teams left. A big win for Everton on Saturday. I watched Peacock. Hello, Peacock. Sure. Oh, yeah, the different services making me crazy and broke. But that was pretty good.
It's so crazy. It's smart on their part. I honestly, we've been in here 3 hours today, do it again tomorrow, and then Wednesday, by the time we're done, maybe we usually feel like we've got it, and, whatever, it'll come. I walking around just now during the last break, and I'm thinking about all the streaming services. Mm-hmm. And, I just don't. Why do I have all these? And the first thought I actually had was the OG, Netflix. I think I don't say I never go there, but I don't feel like I need to. We have Apple TV, and I watch a lot of stuff. Very rarely do I get hooked on something on Netflix. It's happened, but I can usually find enough other stuff other places. So I think, that's the one. We should just get rid of that. And then I went, yeah, but the football.
Well, it's
one day, but I'm like, I'm going to want it.
It's 7 months away.
I know.
Cancel it, and then they'll beg for you to come back for 5 cents a year.
Right.
Maybe.
You'd hope.
Well, if it's Christmas, you can't go out and watch those 2 games.
Right. That's how I've gotten away with Peacock the last couple of years. Because I got it for whatever. Was it the Dolphin playoff game?
Yes.
In Kansas City?
Yes.
Right? That's 2 years ago now. Mm-hmm. I think I got it for that and then quickly ditched it. Because I was like, I don't know. I didn't want to go out that night. But last year I did. I don't need to be home for this. I can go play a road game here, hang out somewhere, watch the game. But I don't know. It doesn't seem worth it to cancel it if I'm only going to get it back for football. But it is 7 months away. That's $20 a month or more times 7. It's not nothing.
Definitely not.
So I don't know.
You don't need it between now and then.
Right. I really don't.
That's what you got to do. You got to make the cut.
Yeah.
We have 3 Eagles games already. Not the one against the Bills. There will be one here. But the opener home to Dallas. Then Black Friday, they got the Bears, Eagles-Bears in Philadelphia, and a Saturday in Week 16 at Washington. So Philadelphia has 3 of its games already known.
That's the treatment you get when you're the champs, I guess.
That's right.
You get out ahead of everybody. Your fans get to make their plans a couple of days early.
We've moved into thinking that the Bills game announcement, if there is one, Wednesday morning, will be for a game very late in the season. Where does that leave the opener? I don't know. I guess you could have both. NBC or primetime.
Sure.
Both. I still love the Jacksonville Raiders idea from last week on the Monday night. Week 1, but it could be anybody. Really, almost anybody could be in that slot. It's just that it would be the NFL debut for the 2 hottest rookies, I think I would say, in Travis Hunter and Ashton Genty. So they play each other this year. I'd love that in that spot.
When you brought that up last week, I initially was like, get out of here. Jacksonville and the Raiders. That is – you got to readjust. I said this on draft night. I'm sort of looking at Jacksonville differently. I know I'm going to have a hard time getting anywhere because of a running back, but they are 2 of the most interesting players from the draft. Even considering the quarterbacks,
ever.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay. I wouldn't go that far, but
on Genty, you wouldn't go that
certainly
far.
This draft. Hunter's like a 1 in a million.
Right.
So definitely for him.
How are they going to use him? You want to see?
Yeah. I did see over the weekend this first round of rookie minicamp the Bills had. He worked only on offense, but the coach is already saying next round of team whatever they're doing, whatever they're calling it. But the next time they do that, they're going to start opening up the defensive playbook to him. He's going to do some work at corner at the next OTAs or whatever they're having.
Mm-hmm.
So they definitely are starting out here planning to do use him for both. So not that that's a big surprise, but still it's confirmation.
I promised you some wide receiver content
Besides Gabe Davis visiting the 49ers?
Didn't even know that was going to happen today, but yes, besides that. And it again involves Warren Sharp, who had the stat about the Bills being 6-0 on Thursdays in the last 5 seasons. It's 7-0 in the last 6 years, including the Dallas win on Thanksgiving. He also had, I've been meaning to look this up. I'm glad he did the work for me here, because I think I would have had to go team by team to get what I wanted. He does that here. Most expensive wide receiver rooms in 2025.
I saw this chart.
By cap hit. And the Bills come in 18th at wide receiver, $26.6 million, which is not the bottom, obviously. I mean, that's not like they're not spending at all, but I think what the controversy, if it's that, has been about is how much they're spending on the certain guys they're spending it on. And so that's cap hit for this year. You see teams right around them. The Texans are one at 16 with Nico Collins, and now 2 day 2 draft picks, and Christian Kirk at the position. I mean, Collins is elite, I would say. Also, right about at $1 million more is Minnesota with Jefferson, who got paid, and Addison. And they've had other guys too, but it's really Jefferson and then Addison. One spot up from them is the Rams. Bills are 18th. Rams are 13th. That's Puka. That's Devontae Adams.
No more Cooper Kupp. Right.
No more Cooper Kupp. So some of these teams in the middle, even I can't really point to Carolina yet, but McMillan is a top 10 draft pick. Leggett was a first-round pick last year. Thielen is there. He's older, but he gets paid. Jalen Coker came on. Yeah. I feel like I'm stretching now to bring in teams like that. But it's these teams in the middle that have made a similar investment and have stars at the position, which the Bills don't. So it's not like the Bills don't spend. It's more just like their choices. And I think, like I tweeted about this earlier this afternoon, just to point out that tight end is not included, and the Bills spent $18 million more on their 2 tight ends. That's again by cap hit. Knox is 15.4, I think, which is almost like the second or third highest on the team. I think it's third highest on the team.
Yeah.
Alan Dawkins, right? And then Kincaid is 3.6.
You're right about that. Yeah.
Okay. So if you put tight ends in to this list, the Bills are going to move way up.
Yeah.
And you're going to wonder, like, well, what are they getting for their $41 million?
They'll also move way up next year when Shakir's contract hits, because he's still, his cap number, despite the big $15 million a year annual average value type stuff, his cap hit is still reflective of his rookie contract for this year. So his cap hit is really small. It's like not even in the top, I've got like the top 10 open here on the team, and he's not listed until you get down to 25th. His cap hit is 2.5 this year. So that'll go way, way up for him. What is their whole number, did you say, by the way, the Bills' number?
Just receiver?
Yeah.
26.6.
Okay. So he'll be more than half of that next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think, or close to it. I don't know how the breakdown is year by year, but whatever. This number does not reflect that contract extension. So,
yep.
Not that changes who they have there. I mean, all they're going to do is be paying more for the same player next year, and then whatever else they do, around him.
The Chiefs come in under $20 million, 19.8, 28th in the league. So they're young. That's what that is, right? Rice, Worthy. Brown isn't expensive.
Right.
That's their group. Maybe even Juju still. I mean, he was not expensive when they got
right. Everything they've got is not expensive. That's right.
His rookie type deals. Someone I'm forgetting there. I mean, Kelsey would be another team where the tight end number would pop, but down near the bottom of the league. Last is the Chargers, spending $17 million even cap money on wide receiver. And, they lost Palmer to the Bills. Palmer wasn't making as much playing for them. Mike Williams is back there. McConkey, a second-round pick last year, same as Coleman, would be like their best guy.
Yep. You are not forgetting anyone on KC. I just went to Juju is still there. Sky Moore is still there. Justin Ross is still there. I'm deep into their depth chart here. They added Jalen Royals in the draft.
Right.
But, yeah, it's all even Sky Moore is still hanging on to a rookie contract there.
That's a day 2 pick.
Yeah.
Royals was a 4th-round pick this year.
Right.
So
that's their room. Worthy, Henderson, Brown, Hollywood Henderson. I saw Hollywood on my screen and I went out.
Welcome to the show.
I went Henderson. Wow, I'm broken. Rice, Sky Moore. Yeah, that's it.
That's a guy whose story you'd want to know if you don't know his name. Cowboys.
Hollywood Henderson.
Hollywood Henderson.
Yeah. Do a little Googling. Yeah, that could.
He was a character.
That could be fun. Yes.
He also won the lottery. Did you know that?
That sounds familiar. Yes.
He had sort of a controversial career, and then I think post-retirement won the lottery. Thomas Hollywood Henderson. Cincinnati, number 1, $55 million. Jason Higgins.
Right. How'd they do that? Yeah.
Tampa, number 2, Evans, Godwin, McMillan, and now Ibuka from the first round this year. First-round receiver, like pick 16 or 18, whatever that was. That's pretty good money. Tennessee is 3rd. Wow. Ridley, Io Manor, and DK from this draft.
I gotta go to their depth chart. That seems incredible to me. That
Tennessee
that high. Good Lord.
45.5 at wide receiver alone.
Ridley, Van Jefferson new this year. Tyler Lockett pretty recently.
Okay. Right. That can't be huge.
Right. Traylon Burks, no.
First round pick.
They drafted your guy from Stanford.
Yep.
Ayamanor, is that how you say his name? Mm-hmm. And then, another rookie, a 4th round rookie. Yeah. How in the world? Wow.
Ridley's a huge number.
Yeah.
They just basically blank checked him away from Jacksonville when he had the suspension.
Yeah.
And he played a little game with it in social media and ended up signing with Tennessee for huge money. They spend more on receiver than Miami does. With Hill and Waddle.
That is incredible.
I know. Washington is 5th.
And Ridley is like Lockett's had an incredible career, but he's clearly like going the wrong way.
Yep.
Van Jefferson's a guy. Mm-hmm. How in the world are you 3rd in the league in receiver spending with only one guy that I'd even consider like, let me get that guy on my team.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a hard yes on Ridley.
No, right.
Wow, that's incredible.
Right.
Woo.
Washington at 42. After McLaurin.
I need a minute. I want to go look. You with your fantasy stuff, you might have the stuff.
I should, but I'm blanking on Washington.
Well, Debo.
Okay, that's why.
Debo, yeah.
That's why they're so high.
They inherited a big contract there, yeah.
I'm not used to that yet. Debo Samuel on Washington. Are you drafting him?
I wouldn't.
Are you drafting much Debo?
No.
I'm not yet. Also can't be drafting too often because Underdog is banned in New York. So you can't even really ask me anymore.
That's tough.
I literally host a show about trends in best ball rankings on Underdog, and I can't pick teams without traveling, 3 hours round trip to be able to do it. And that's just doing what? All that is doing is crossing the state line, buying teams in slow drafts, and then coming back and, working off of an 8-hour clock for the next 3-4 weeks per draft. I'm not even actually sitting there and drafting, which I prefer because I think I'm quick. And if it's a 30-second clock or even a 20-second clock, I feel like I have an edge there. 8 hours, I'll forget sometimes to even do it. I had one last night, rookie draft, so I was able to do it without having to travel, long distances, where FFPC stops the clock. I think it's from 2 a.m. to 8. If it's not 2, it's midnight. But the clock is stopped overnight. And this often happens to me on Sundays. By Sunday night, we're watching TV. I'm just not plugged in at all. Had a lacrosse banquet last night. On a weeknight, this almost never happens to me. But on a Sunday night, that's the night where I'm the most vulnerable to sort of forgetting
You have something.
Drafts or something. Yeah. Right. So that happened last night. I think of it when I wake up Monday morning, and I looked at my clock from that one draft. I had 11 seconds left.
Wow.
It's 8 hours. So it would have ticked down for 8 hours until 2 a.m. when they stop it, and I had 11 seconds. Not intentional. I got away with it.
Well, see, you got to do the thing that you say you'd be good at, which is make a quick decision there, even though it really wasn't the case.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Logistically, that's how it worked out.
The clock was not going to start until 8 a.m., and I was up well before that, so I did have like 2 hours in that case. But still, I mean, just to see 11 seconds on your clock is like, just how did that happen?
You got away with it.
I got away with it. Will Graves from the AP in Pittsburgh on the latest, if there is any latest, on Aaron Rodgers, the state of the Steelers, and more. That's next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.